Islam.
Islam family.
Let's rise and do our thing. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace.
Freedom.
And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through His holy prophet. Noble Ali. Islam. Peace, Moors.
Peace.
Sorry about the little delay. I don't know. Everybody's trying to stop this right now. Yes, sir. To be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple and the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. We are dealing with our Back to Basics classes. We're stepping into class number 13 today, and what we're going to be discussing is the Moor Science Temple not being just some religious corporation. I got a call from a brother who we were going back and forth on Facebook, and the perspective that he has is that the Moorish Science Temple, the Moorish Science Temple is the representative of the Moorish nation, right? Where the Moorish Science Temple of America is a part. It's not the. So we have a lot of people that as soon as Moors start talking, they start bringing up their little beliefs and their emotions about what this is, even though they have nothing to do with this, right? They always come from the perspective that we are some religious group of black guys that wear fezzes, and you know, we have this guy named Noble Ali, and we have this flag, this Moroccan flag from Africa and all this stuff, and these perspectives that go out there is what creates this belief that Moorish Science Temple of America, the religious organization, is the nation. And this is absolutely not the nation. This is absolutely not the all-encompassing jurisdiction of quote unquote the Moors, right? This is a specific institution that was founded, created, established, etc. to get the information of the nation to the nationals of the nation, so that they can know what it is that this involves, because they're not going to get this information from anywhere else. And if they attempt to get it from somewhere else, more than likely it's going to be like that gold that's tainted and doesn't have its pure essence when the people get it. It's some distorted perspective that they're getting, and then they're running off with that, like that's the reality of what this is, right? We spoke about it on Tuesday's class, and we wanted to actually go a little bit more in depth into the propaganda campaign that you should expect to engage when you say I'm more, and then now you're getting into this level of information. You are going to be challenged every single time you stand up for your rights. So, you know, we don't want people to be in the mentality of this is, you know, you pass, go collect $200 because you say you're more, right? They're not giving you no $200. They're more than likely to try to kidnap your ass when you start standing up for rights, because they know, everybody knows, the Filipinos know that the individuals who are over there with guns and whatever like that, saying that they're fighting for their right as indigenous people and they don't want to lose their land or whatever like that, are called Moros. That's the only people over there that fight for their land. Everybody else, they're down whatever.
That's
But,
the Philippines?
yeah, right? But when you research Moros in Philippines, those are the so-called Muslims of the Philippines that always, for as long as the people who've been there know, these people named Moros always been fighting for their land. Always. It's just what they do, right? So when we say that we're Moors, know that there's going to be a fight eventually somewhere down the line, whatever like that. You're going to have to know what the hell you're talking about, and this is not just speculative anymore. Eventually you're going to get to the point where this now becomes, are you really willing to stand up for your rights or whatever? Are you really willing to make a claim? Are you really willing to maybe get some abuse because you said that you are who you are? Now, as far as the abuse that we get, like somebody just called me that they trumped up some charges on somebody through some fake warrants, and then they're questioning them about their involvement in ISIS. FBI is questioning them, right? So a Moor went to the post office to go pick up his mail at the P.O. box at the post office that he has in his free national name, right? The postman, the post clerk, whatever, didn't want to accept his nationality card that he used to set up the post office box, right? So postman, post whoever, clerk or whatever like that, decides to, you know, make the call, because I don't know, you know what I mean, I don't know what the hell he's calling about, right? But he decided to make the call, and then the people come, you know what I mean, they see him in his turban, right? So, you know, they automatically, I guess, assume that he's ISIS or something, or whatever. So they kidnap him, question him about the ISIS thing, or realize that he's not ISIS, but now they pull up these warrants or whatever, right? That, oh, you have warrants, so now, you know what I mean, we have to, you know, hold you because you got warrants. Now remember, the warrants aren't in the name, that Free National name. The warrants are a straw name, right? But if you have things that tie you to the straw, they're going to use those things in order to get jurisdiction. So if you have a car, vehicle, mode of transport, whatever, I don't care what they call it. As soon as they go to the front and they look in the dash or whatever like that, and they get that little number, once they get that little number, that means that, okay, they have jurisdiction, right? Because that number identifies property that's supposed to be in the name of all capital letters or whatever like that, right? If you have some type of card other than just your nationality card in your possession, they're gonna use that against you, because as free national, you really shouldn't have anything else that doesn't have the name that you are now claiming is you. And if you do have other things with that name, it should be reserved rights, all rights reserved, big ass letters so everybody can see or whatever, so that that mistake isn't made. Like with Tariq, you know, found the card, right? And then they use the card to try to gain jurisdiction. Okay? So these are things that they do. And it's not, you know, it's presenting these things so people can know. There's no stopping the beast from violating, right? Even with Brother Norman, right? That he changed lock on his spot, and the landlord took the lock off and put back on old locks and stuff like that, right? They're gonna do their criminal activity. They're gonna do it. Don't think that, oh yeah, we said that we're more, so now we get the easy whatever. It's going to be more hard now that you're saying that you're a Moor. Because Negro black colored, you know, they just, you know, give them the 5 slaps or whatever like that, and then that's it. You know, just show them the whip, and they're talking about, yeah, you know what I mean, Toby, right? They don't have to get hit, right? Whereas with us standing up for this thing, because you have to remember that at this time, 2015, the so-called jurisdiction of Europeans in America colonizing is over. Like that, it's only alive right now because there's still Negro black colored people out there. That's the only reason that it's still alive. If all those people out there that were classified as, they say that they're conscious and they want to, you know, sell stuff on the street, and they want to have all these big buildings and all that stuff, telling people that they're black people and all that. If all those people decided to say that, okay, we're Moors and we're not gonna succumb to the slave brands, the abuse will end tomorrow. All these people would have to pack up their stuff, go home to wherever they came from, right? No different than Fidel did in Cuba, no different than what Chavez did in frickin' Venezuela, no different than what Hitler did in Germany. It's all the same thing. Recognizing that, hold on a second, there's foreigners around here trying to abuse power and trying to claim that they have whatever. Okay, well, what we have to do is let everybody around here know, first of all, that that's foreigner, they're not from here, right? Second of all, that we are claiming everything back. So once we claim everything back, everybody else who's here that has no claim, they have to go back where they come from. Everywhere. We always use the example. Go to China, find me some European agency that's giving Chinese people licenses and social cards and things that aren't given from the Chinese government. You're not going to have it because those people aren't going to allow that. Why are they going to allow a foreigner to come and tell their people that their people should have something that the foreigner created, which is contrary to the foundation of these people's history? There's a thin line right now with regard to, you know, Moors exercising what they heard, thought, assumed, or whatever, and Moors exercising what they know. And if you don't know, you shouldn't be exercising. If you don't know, don't want to parading around that, yeah, we're Moors and all that, and telling people this and that and whatever, and then when challenge comes, you don't know how to deal with it. Right? And again, majority of instances, why there is even this campaign of them, of people being able to say, oh, see, look, Moor got arrested. That's because people's immaturity. That's because people not knowing what they're doing, and then going out there thinking that because they say whatever, they're going to get to pass go and collect 200. Like, it's not going down like that, because these individuals know that time's up. Astrologically, time's up. Metaphysically, time's up. On a physical level, time's up. It's over. Pope came out and told them there's no Christmas, there's no Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, you know, everybody who says that they're U.S. or whatever like that, those guys are a fraud. Lawyers are a fraud. They came out and they threw everybody under the bus. The Pope, who's these people's vicar or whatever. So if he's going to come out and say that, you know what I mean, go to Independence Hall and talk about human rights of, you know, people, and people have human rights and they need to be respected and all this type of stuff, and talk about, yeah, Independence Hall, this is the foundation of United States government and all that stuff, then he's telling them that Washington D.C. is a fraud. He's telling people. Freaking CNN, you know, BB whatever, everybody's covering it. He's talking about, obviously those guys are a fraud if they're saying Washington D.C. is the capital, because the founding of the United States of America was in Philadelphia. This is out the Pope's mouth. But nobody's going with that. Moors full of shit. We know what we're talking about. All Moors do is get arrested, rah rah, because again, people's focus with regard to Moors are not the Moors who are using their nationality card to get on a plane. They're not using them as a reference for what it is to be a Moor. They're not using Moors who been going to these courts out here, beating up on these people, getting all their stuff dismissed, no matter what they did. They're not going to use them. They're not going to use Moors who beat the IRS, right, for, you know, 20, 30, 40, whatever thousand, whatever million that they say, oh, back taxes you owe and all that stuff. They're not going to the Moors who beat the IRS and using them as a reference point. They're going to go use somebody who tried to prematurely claim a mansion and got caught, and then that's the example that they're using as who the Moors are, what the Moor Science Temple is about, what the Moorish movement, and tying all these things. So we wanna go into this slander campaign against the Moors and outline that within their slander, they know what's up with regard to this and what it's about in its full capacity. And the game is to get people to side with the slander, disassociate themselves from the reality that's being talked about in the slander, to attach to the slander, and then say, well, man, I don't know if I based on the slander, not based on the actual documented facts that they're presenting to people to let them know that they know. Because these people out here know what's up.
Exactly. Truth and falsehood strangely mixed.
Truth and falsehood strangely mixed, right? That's why he talked about it. That's why he brought it up. That's why it's a statement that's echoed with Moors. When you talk to anybody else, they don't even know about that. Truth, falsehood, strangely mixed. They don't know about. They don't even know about that. But they're gonna say that we can talk on the Moors or whatever. You ain't got nationality card. How are you gonna talk on behalf of? You don't talk on behalf of Chinese people. You don't talk on behalf of Africans from Nigeria and all that stuff. You can talk on behalf of Africans. But they're not talking on behalf of the countries, as far as, whether it's conscious people who are hating on this, Europeans that are hating on this, whatever other nations. Everybody has an issue with Moors, and they don't have issues with nothing else. Everybody has an issue with the fact that, we're pushing the program of we're not Negro, black, colored, and they're mad because, Moors don't want to be black. Well, what we want or don't want, we're not black. Nothing to do with what we want, or what message we want to relay, or whatever like that. That doesn't have nothing to do with Joe Ali. He was just stressing the point to us that we're not these things, right? So there was this 2015 Rutgers School of Law, I don't know, student, teacher, whatever, Caitlin Campari, that wrote this article about the Moorish Science Temple of America and the legal system, exploring the need to take proactive measures against radical members of an incorporated religion. So as soon as they say incorporated religion and relative to Moors, you know that they're trying something, right? Trying to get Moors in the jurisdiction of U.S. quote-unquote state, U.S. quote-unquote federal, U.S. quote-unquote municipal jurisdictions. By saying Moorish Science Temple, we have to do something about the radical people of that. Well, if we look at the track record of Moorish Science Temple of America from 1913 to now, we realize that in 1929, the Moorish Science Temple of America became inactive. So there ain't no radical people in Moorish Science Temple of America. Radical people, and then if you got the dictionary there, just look up radical, so you know what the hell these people are talking about.
Right, in law or?
Both, yeah, we try both, see if it's in there. So as soon as they say incorporated religion, as soon as they say incorporated religion, right? One, they're trying to tie us to all these jurisdictions, right? Corporate jurisdictions, mind you. Corporate European, foreign jurisdictions, when they say incorporated religion. Because when we go to Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America, we organized as the Moorish Temple of Science, 1925, were incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois, 1926. The name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to the Moorish Science Temple of America in 1928 in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of the State of Illinois. So, in order to incorporate, he didn't go to the office called the Incorporation Office and file some papers with them to try to be Moorish Science Temple. He went to the Secretary of State. He went to the actual Republic Post and put them on notice of what he was doing in order to have this thing called Moorish Science Temple. It wasn't incorporated how you incorporate businesses today. Go to the business office, pay your $325 or whatever like that, and then they give you the number and whatever like that. He wasn't doing that. He was dealing with it from the common law perspective. So for them to even go with this idea of, Moorish Science Temple and then incorporated religion, right? It throws the whole thing off because they're not even letting people know that there's a difference in how you incorporate. There's not just go to that building on University and that's the only way you can incorporate. Or go to whatever building it is in whatever jurisdiction and you could only do it that way. There's other ways of incorporating that does not tie yourself to being tied to the corporate jurisdictions that are colonizing, escheating, racketeering, embezzling, whatever. You don't always have to be tied to them, right? You got Radical is in there?
I got radicals.
All right, radical.
Radical is the Black's Law Dictionary was a political party. The term arose in England in 1818 when the popular leaders Hunt, Cartwright, and others sought to obtain a radical reform in the representative system of Parliament. Bloke, this party.
Right now, the beginning part of that again.
A political party. The term arose in England in 1818 when the popular leaders Hunt, Cartwright, and others sought to obtain a radical reform in the representative system of Parliament.
Right, so Jwali told the Moors that we're not going to incorporate into their stuff, right? But then they're going to say that there's certain members of the Moor Science Temple that are radical, right? Radical. When we look up radical in the law dictionary, it's going back to England, which has nothing to do with Moors in the capacity that they're slandering. Them saying radical is irrelevant to the activity of people who are, doing things that they say, well, we're not really, whatever. We're not down with what they're doing or whatever like that, right? Because they know that, the history of England includes us. But it's going back to that thing of always trying to tie Moors to things that they're not. They see this flag, everybody wants to talk, oh yeah, Morocco, Africa. We're not talking about Africa when we show this. We're not talking about those people over there that are claiming authority as Moroccans, right? Same thing with these people. We're not Moors from the east. We're not Moors that have any ties to over there as far as 2015 to when Mogu Jwali was here. He was over here. He was over there and then came over here and then started something over here. He was over here already. Everything that he's dealing with is dealing with this jurisdiction. But what jurisdiction is it dealing with? It's dealing with the jurisdiction of the founding of the republics, the 13 colonies, articles of association, articles of incorporation, Treaty of Tripoli, Treaty of Peace and Friendship, all these things that nobody talks about today because everybody, oh, that was way back there, that doesn't have nothing to do with now or whatever. When everything, as far as history is concerned, is always tied together. You can't separate history, you can't separate these people from these people because 500 years passed. And now these people don't know anything about back then, so we'll just say, oh yeah, well, forget about whatever they don't know. No, if they don't know, that's their issue. But the facts still remain. The facts are still present. So when they say things like, radical and we have to not be in the mentality of dictionary radical and go to law, go to etymology, go to other things so we can broaden our perspective as to where they're really going with these things that they're saying, right? And it's for us to pick up on these things, and when we pick up on them, address them. Because if they don't get addressed, then that means we acquiesce, we default. And once we default, whatever they say stands. That's why we can't default. We can't hear somebody say, yeah, the black people or whatever, and be more and be there, and then not say nothing. Because then we're saying that we're down with people being called black or whatever, when we know that makes them stateless. Right? Continue on.
Bolingbroke employs the term in its present accepted sense. Such a remedy might have wrought a radical cure of the evil that threatens our constitution, etc. Wharton.
And then now you got radical in the
arising from or going to a root or source, fundamental, basic, carried to the farthest limit, extreme, sweeping, radical social change, favoring or affecting revolutionary changes, as in political organization, of or designating a word root, botany, of pertaining to or growing from the root, One who advocates political and social revolution. It just goes into mathematics.
Right. So, radical in the context of people saying Moors are, doing things they shouldn't be doing. They're talking about from an extreme perspective, right? But really, what they're establishing is that the people who are considered radical, as far as Moors are concerned, they're actually the ones that are doing stuff from the root. They're actually the ones who are classified as quote-unquote paper terrorists, and they're messing up the system with all these papers and all that type of stuff, and they want to not have licenses, and they don't want to pay taxes, and that's the foundation of what this is. Because all those things we're not obligated to any of those things. We're not obligated to have licenses to drive some car or whatever. Licenses are for commerce. I'm not engaging in commerce if I just get in there and go check Supreme, and then he comes, checks me or whatever like that. Ain't no commerce involved in that. So I need a license for it. Right? Vaccination. You're not obligated to go get no shots because, something's going around, so, you got to go get the shot because, job said or school said that we have to do that, because if we don't do that, we're going to, oh no, sorry, we're not obligated to that. Even as nigger, you're not obligated to that. That's a corporate policy that they're trying to impose on somebody. So we're recognizing that in order to be active, you're going to be qualified as a radical. And then they're hoping, they're praying to Jesus that our perspective of radical is not that we're coming from the root, but that, what they say, oh yeah, we're extreme. When this is not about extremism. It appears extreme because people haven't stood up for rights since Noble Drew Ali's time. So now when you got somebody talking about, yeah, give me your license. Well, no, sorry, I don't got a license, I got a nationality card. That's extreme. Because ain't no way that you, black, Negro, whatever guy, what are you talking about nationalities and stuff? You're a black guy. What do you mean nationality card? You better have a license. You better have your car registered. You better have insurance or whatever, etc., etc. Right? You got a question or comment?
Yeah, the comment was in regards to vaccines and how crazy it is that once people look at it in its simplicity, that it's madness that they force you to get a vaccine, because everybody who has a vaccine doesn't need to worry about catching the virus. So why would they be worried about someone who doesn't have the vaccine if they're vaccinated? And that's when you realize it has nothing to do with protecting people. One, it's a business, it's an industry, and two, the shit that they put in the vaccines are slowly killing off our people. Because if I have the vaccine, why would I be worried that you don't have the vaccine? How could you get me sick if I'm vaccinated?
If I'm vaccinated.
Doesn't make any sense.
You're gonna catch it.
Yeah, you wouldn't catch it if you're vaccinated. So why would they be forcing people to get vaccinated if everybody else is vaccinated? You guys are good.
Yeah.
If anything, you should feel pity for the person who isn't vaccinated. You shouldn't be trying to force them into it. That's how you know that there's an underlying agenda behind it. It has nothing to do with protecting people from getting viruses and things of that nature. I just wanted to make that comment, because all you gotta do is think about it. You're like, hold on a second. If you're vaccinated, what are you worried about me for?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Then you realize, well, obviously something's up.
Yeah.
This is brotherly love.
Yeah.
But just to add on to what Supreme said, it's also like I was just watching like a wildlife program, and when you look at it, like the corporate system treats human beings as like animals. Like they tag you with the vaccine, they give you a little needle, they want to start because I remember when I was younger, I went to like a bazaar or some type of fair in the neighborhood, and they were taking pictures, like ID cards for children.
Mm.
You know, checking the scars that I had and so on and so forth. I had a picture and everything, and it dawned on me. I was looking at the paper again. I'm like, wow, they're really tagging you, putting you in the data bank, and then they have your marks on you. Okay, well this lion over there, he has that scar, he lives over there, and so on and so forth. So we're really being treated like we're animals, at least
Animals, exactly.
you know.
Right, and then the other thing too with the vaccination is that the people vaccinating you, they have exemption form that you can get from them.
So true.
And nobody's not going for the form. Everybody's going to get the shot. And nobody's saying, oh, hold on a second. Well, why would they make people exempt? If the idea is, okay, well, the vaccine is going to help people not get sick or whatever, why would they have a form allowing people to not get it if the point is that you need it so you don't get what that guy has because he didn't get it? Clearly fraud's going on. Clearly they're playing some type of game with people, right? And again, bringing them up just to prove the fraud that is apparent, that we're not paying attention to what's apparent, because everybody's trying to distract us from what we're supposed to be doing. Like, we know, it's like Brother Amari said earlier, when we were in the meeting, you know, people want to, you know, I want to proclaim my nationality and I want to be a Moor, and can I get the papers, and can I get the card, and can I get the, you got law dictionary? No. You got unabridged dictionary? No. Etymology dictionary? No. You got notebook? Take some notes when you're watching classes? No. But they want to have cards to go out there and show stuff, thinking that, you know, these instruments that they get are going to help them when they go out there. And all this is about, all that this is about is energy. What energy are you on when you go deal with these people? Right? What vibration are you on when you go deal with these people? Now again, we're talking about individuals trying to claim that people who are Moors are quote-unquote radical, extreme, right? We're looking at it in its proper context now, that, oh, well, you know, when they say radical, anytime they say radical, they're saying people who are dealing with things from the root. People who are going back to the origin, according to the dictionary definition of radical, not people's belief or assumption in it, right? If we are so, if we are vibrating on the right energy of going back to the root, when you present yourself, the individuals that are receiving your presentation will act according to what's presented, right? For example, if you want to bring up that thing when we went to deal with those people in the week at the court, and how things changed when you gave the paper and then everybody sort of went on with the program.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, just touch on that. Just a little bit about, you know, the situation leading up to going to yeah.
I went to the court to do my paperwork for the landlord, the same landlord I was talking about. And when they look at my paper and see the affiliation and name and stuff,
sorry, if you could talk up a little bit so these people can hear you too online.
When they see the bay on my name, they recognize who I am. And start helping me whatever I had to do. Even when I'm supposed to pay some fees for getting the paper filing there, they told me I don't have to pay, and they give me a paper too to keep for any time I come back there, and anyone wants to take money from me, show them this paper for whatever they have to do, and they don't have to pay. Then when I went to finish some other things, they sent me to get another number to move to another section. When I go by that section, before the lady was saying they have like masters, like a lower judge and then the higher judge. So when I go to decide where they're gonna decide the date, this guy, from whatever he see, he don't ask me which one. He told me it's the supreme one you gotta go. That's the judge. You gotta deal with this thing because of what my paperwork so showing it. There's more to it, but you know. On the other hand, now when we leave, he said, "Go now and go serve them." When I went with my friend to serve, we didn't find them. The next day, we went back and he saw the father, his father and son. Approach him, tell him his name is here to serve papers for Norm's shop that you guys in issue with. He jumped in his car and he take off. He take off. He said, "I don't know you." He said, "Yeah, this is my ID. I'm whatever my name, and I'm just here to serve you this paper." And he get in his car and he left. He take off. So I told him to come back and he got to do it because I can't. The guy in the court told me to let him do it.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't serve people if you don't
Right,
have
right. So then in the afternoon, the son came back, and the guy went back. We went back, but he went inside, and I told him just to go deal with it and come back. It took some seconds, and I'm wondering what is he doing so long. Then when he come back, he was telling me now that he's like, "Why Norman do this to me? Why he do this to me? And who did this for him? Who did this for him? You have a lawyer?" But then he see himself represented on the paper too, so he knows. And the guy said, I only know to come give it to you. I don't know what's going on. Who did, like he just wondering, he have a lawyer? Who do this paperwork for him? He's like stuttering. He's like,
right. So, and that's when you get them off guard.
yeah.
That their mentality is, okay, well, you know, got accent or whatever, you know, probably some nigger. You know what I mean? Let's just do whatever. You know what I mean? And then, and then also every other people in the unit, right?
Yeah.
Is mainly Asians in the unit with businesses,
Right.
with the European landlord or whatever. And then all these other people who've been had issues with the landlord aren't taking these steps.
No. Everyone.
Right? Yeah, everybody's playing passive. Right? So which gave them that big chest
Of course.
vibes.
Yeah.
Right? Because if this guy's not gonna stand up, this guy's not gonna stand up, those guys down there, we already
I don't know.
pull their lock off, went in there, take stuff, put their lock on and all that stuff.
And
You guys
for
not
me-
saying nothing?
For me, my unit, the welding machine and the compressor, that's what he did to another guy. Take his stuff and sell me as the new tenant coming, so I know that. I'm not guessing that one. The compressor in my shop, I bought it from him, took from another guy.
That he took from somebody else's
From
shop.
somebody else. And the welding machine he took from somebody else.
Right.
I bought those from him when I moved in there. But this time I told him, I ain't leaving here. He ain't getting my stuff. He ain't getting my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not who moving here 8 years ago. It's a different guy. Not the guy that moving in 8 years.
Different thing everyone. Right? Okay, so in the intro of this, you know, they outline some things. Just want to touch on some stuff here. The Moral Science Temple of America is an incorporated religion with noble beginnings. So they already know that the foundation of this is based in some type of nobility. This is not, you know, extremism, paper terrorism or whatever in its early beginnings. They're saying that this is something that happened later, right? Now when we look at the track record of Noble Drew Ali, and we found out that he went to Cuba and he went all these other places, that's proof that the activity, the radicalism is recognized. Because nobody else ever said Noble Drawley is radical or whatever. They never presented him like, they never presented Morris Science Temple like it's radical, right? They're saying that now, but they never put it like that before. Because they know that, again, the history of the Moors encompasses the world. And anybody coming and saying that they have some tie or some connection or anything to individuals called Moors, Europeans start, boot shaking and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because they already know, their reference point is their ships getting taken on Mediterranean Sea and stuff like that. They're getting kidnapped. They're getting sold as slaves to different bays and L's all over the place or whatever like that. They already have a mechanism of fear instilled in them when they hear Moors. So as soon as they hear Moors, they're automatically going on the defensive, right? You know what I mean? That's why they approach the car with their hand on the thing like this, because they're already in a state of fear, right? Added on to that, to that state of fear is their knowledge that they're not really superior. They're disguising themselves as government, authority, police, lawyer, blah, blah. They're disguising themselves, but they know that, if all the so-called, if all the so-called gangs said, forget police, you guys have issue, call us or whatever. Police go out of business tomorrow. You're not going to be needed in our communities no more. If all the heads of all the gangs came together and said, you know what, this is some bullshit, we're killing each other or whatever like that. How about we become radical, go back to the root of gangs and start protecting the communities like we used to do when in their founding. Police become irrelevant.
Absolutely.
If you know what I mean, you wouldn't even be getting pulled over and stuff like that. It wouldn't even be an issue. Because you already know that, code of the streets is at play if the gangs are the police force. So automatically, you already know what the rules are. You already know, what's up. If Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, whoever are saying they're the police, you already know what's up. You're not even going to be questioning like, well, should I do this or shouldn't I, or is this illegal or whatever like that. You already know. Code of the streets apply. Right? You had something?
No, I was talking about, I was reading a document on profit in the U.S. and the bankruptcy in the Moors. I was just reading the document on how the prophet bankrupted the United States, just himself alone.
Right. And then you call him radical when he did that.
How did he do that?
He went, when he went to Havana, Cuba, him, the Secretary of State for the United States, he went to represent the Moors. And then he set out the mandate for the Moors on their land. And he came back.
Right.
Around 1933, bankrupt, U.S.
Right. And it's a thing of, like they never bring up how they went bankrupt. They don't talk about how do you go bankrupt. And people don't even ask, how do you guys go bankrupt? Like you guys were, okay, George Washington's first president or whatever, right? You guys going through history or whatever, establishing yourself in an American war and this war and all that, and then you get to 1933 and then you guys bankrupt, just like that. You guys just bankrupt, just out the blue. And not only did you go bankrupt, but you also created something different to get out of the bankruptcy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That ties everybody that claims they're a citizen of your bankrupt corporation now as property or collateral.
Well, here's the question. How do you go bankrupt without no authorization from someone else? Who declares you bankrupt? Do we ask that question?
Right.
Like who did you go to
To declare bankruptcy.
to declare bankruptcy?
To declare bankruptcy.
Review the damn government,
Like-
so-called government.
So,
Yeah.
Who's the government goes to?
Who's the government?
They asked that question.
Right.
Country went bankrupt. Right, okay, all right. Okay, well, who said you were bankrupt?
Right.
Somebody had to tell you.
Right, and then if we talk about, if we want to talk about extreme,
Yeah.
the New Deal is extreme. Make people collateral and stuff like that. We're not even telling them.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Making them collateral for a debt that we don't even know if debt's real. But now these people are collateral for that and they don't know. And they actually signed stuff to become this level of collateral.
There's something.
That's the paper terrorism right there.
There's a set of paper with the bailiff that put the paper in my door. When the father didn't take the serving, he phoned him. That's what he told me, phone him. When he said, "Hey, Mr. Bailiff, I'm at the door where you put this paper and I'm here to serve your guy." He's there like, "Oh, it's nothing to do with me."
No, the bailiff on the run now.
Yeah, he said,
That's him.
It has nothing to do with me. And the guy said, "Wait, boy, you put this one in the door.
Yeah.
And I'm here to give the other one to defend this thing.
Yeah.
So your paper said, call when you come to get my stuff. I should call you. No, I call not to come get this stuff, but to come give you your filament documents." And he started to say, "I'm going to do it."
Wash his hands early.
Yes, I'm going to do it.
Early. Wash his hands. Right? Over time, radicals broke away from Moorish Science Temple of America and began exploiting both faith and state and federal laws. Right? Remember, so over time, the ones that were dealing with this from the root broke away from Moorish Science Temple because they realized that, these guys are playing church. These guys are playing games with people's birthright. And the people who are the head of this thing called Moorish Science Temple, they're not going to allow the people who are from the root to teach what's supposed to be taught. Because the whole idea is to have the Moorish Science Temple of America and its members think that this is just some religious black guys that adopted Islam, or organization, association, whatever like that, and not even think that this is a nation. Even though they got a national flag that they fly, even though they have a national headwear that they wear, even though they have a nationality card, which establishes that they are a nation. Not in the building. The individuals themselves represent a nation of people that were subjugated and are now coming back to their senses as in full life beings, knowing who they are, knowing what the law is, knowing, astrology, knowing things that they weren't supposed to know, right? So now that these individuals broke away from the Moorish Science Temple, right? The claim is that they broke away and then they're exploiting state laws, federal laws, and whatever, right? Well, federal law and state law, as soon as they go there, well, they're violating the law. Okay, what law? Federal law, state law. Oh, you already know that these guys are playing corporate games because the only law, the supreme law of the land is the Constitution. Right? And state laws and federal laws are not supreme. Just like state courts and federal courts are not supreme. So if they're classifying themselves as courts and people go with it and neglect the fact that there's something called supreme, which supreme has a whole different connotation, denotation, than what their perspective of court or of laws, then people are probably about to get played or whatever. But Kenta.
I was just thinking about, because I know you covered this essay, and they talk about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, right?
Yeah.
And if you're doing the research on this paper, whoever wrote this, and they stumble upon the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and they read it, and there's an article in there, a section there that talks about the binding against, how everything is in our favor. You know, it's kind of like if you're writing something for your children and they have to deal with other people, you would write it in their favor. So the fact that this person continued to, the way they wrote that paper with the information that they got, and they kind of try to make it look kind of dirty, make us Moors, you know, act Moors look dirty, then they were really agents of the, you know, the system. For real.
Yeah, big time.
Because there's no way you can read the Constitution with, you know, wide open eyes, read the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and knowing what you know about the Moors, and continue to put out stuff like that, unless you're compromised.
Right. Right. Or like you said, you know, agent provocateur, whose duty is to put out certain information to get the average Negro, black, colored individual to think of Moors. This is the perspective of Moors. These guys steal houses, they don't pay taxes, they're squatting in mansions and stuff like that, and you know, but they're not talking about, you know, they're gonna say, oh yeah, Moors are squatting, right? But they're not gonna talk about the real estate agent that's squatting outside of the property. They're not gonna talk about the guy who somebody's home foreclosed and they moved out of it. So now, because foreclosure, the home's just sitting there, right? They're not talking about the guy who goes and then puts a lock, you know, the outside lock stuff or whatever. He only has the code for the key and all that type of stuff. They don't call that squatting. But they'll say that, oh, us making claims on abandoned property is squatting. But they can make claims on abandoned property by just putting a lock on, because, you know, because they're down with the state, provincial, whatever laws. Oh, they have the authority to go do that because they're a licensed real estate, whatever. Oh, so, but what's the difference?
One has permission from the
One has permission from the corpse, and one is doing it free reign without permission, or radical. But you know, just going back to the root. See something over there? Oh yeah, nobody hasn't been touching that thing for like 10 years or whatever. I'm about to go claim that, because obviously it's nobody's if it's been sitting there for the past year. Obviously it's nobody's. And that's the same thing that they do. But they're not going to put, you know, their jurisdictional representatives like they're doing that. You know, they're going to make them look like, you know, their stuff is clean. They're not doing nothing wrong being a real estate broker or whatever like that. You know, they're not doing nothing wrong seeing a property, putting a sign in front of it, saying, oh yeah, we got this for sale, you know what I mean, you want to buy it, then somebody comes and they're like, yeah, I want to buy it or whatever. Right, well, cool, you know, in order to buy it, you're going to have to talk to our boy over here, you know what I mean, he owns a bank, then he's going to give you the money or whatever like that. You know, we got a little lawyer over here, and he's going to help, he's going to draft up all the stuff like that, and then here's the stuff, you know what I mean, 800 pages, just sign here. And everybody just, oh, okay, you know, all right, cool, you know, I got a house. Okay, they just bought abandoned property.
Or not to mention that the Europeans themselves, entirely, all of them here is squatting.
That too.
Entirely, like
Not even on that level.
It's not even real estate. Let's just say
here alone
is squatting.
Yeah. Straight.
That's a radical statement.
Yeah, big time. Radical statement. You know, it's extreme. What do you mean we're squatting? We're not squatting. We're citizens over here. We're Americans.
No matter where they go, what part they go, they're squatting. I don't care where you guys go, you guys are all squatting. And then have the audacity to come back and say, yo, we're squatting. That's madness.
Moorish American radicals sometimes do not register their cars with the local motor vehicle department and target officials who are investigating them for retaliation purposes by filing $1 million liens on their properties. Right. So let me know that liens stick. Right. They're letting you know that these guys can be lean, right? They can be lean. $1 million worth, right? According to several public officials, quote-unquote, police officers, judges, and other public officials have had to take time off work or turn to lawyers to untangle their land records.
Wait a second. Isn't that what they do to
Right?
everybody else?
Isn't that what they do to everybody else?
What's the complaint?
Right? The filing of these liens has become such a widespread issue that the FBI has labeled the strategy paper terrorism. Right? Unfortunately for the victims of the filings, the Moorish American radicals and others who subscribe to the sovereign citizen movement are free to file these liens at will. They're free to file these liens at will. Right? Like they can do it. There's nothing illegal about putting a lien on somebody that violates you.
So then what's the problem?
Right? So what's the problem? What is the issue?
It sounds like she's leading into trying to get preactive measures in the sense of, make it illegal to all of a sudden file a lien.
Right.
You gotta go through some type of body that verifies whether or not your lien is credible.
But that's what they're doing. They are going through a verified body. They are going through a public record or whatever to get it done.
Yeah, but she's basically saying like, yo, Morris can't do this anymore. That's what we want to do.
That's what we want to Morris can't do activity.
We gotta kick you. We gotta stomp it out.
He start thinking like that. This guy start thinking like that.
Right.
They're scary, man.
He told the same guy, if I have to give $500,000 to get him out of this unit, I'll get him out. Why are you telling the guy that for? He just come to give you a paper.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he just come to give you a paper. He's just going.
Where's the landlord from? What's his nationality?
He's very called Italian, Roman.
I'll say nobody.
So they know what's
Bitter blood there. Bitter, man.
Right?
This year's more, he's bitter.
What, Sicilian? Oh, that's even worse. He knows.
He knows what's up.
Yeah.
He knows what's up.
That's why he asking who did this for you.
Yeah.
Should have told me he went to Italy.
Right? Now, despite the radical claims, the Moorish Science Temple of America vehemently denies any association with these radicals. The members of the faith hold that the Moorish Science Temple of America's founders' initial purpose and current goals are far different from the radicals' current criminal acts. And then they refer to Moorish leaders' historical message to America as a reference point to show that, even the prophet didn't deal with the radical whatever stuff or whatever, right? One thing also too is, I think we spoke about this before, but in your research, make sure that you pay attention to footnotes. Because a lot of times, when you have any type of whatever documents written, right, from somebody that's outside of something, and they use something from the people they're talking against as a reference point, most likely it's out of context, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just want to try to tie the individuals or the people or whoever they're against to show that they're in contradiction with their own things. But then the people who are writing these things, they're not going to talk about them being in contradiction. I mean, just like Brother Supreme saying, European squatting. They're not talking about themselves up in here squatting, stealing houses and all that stuff, right? But they would address it to other people to make their story look good, because it's really about publicity, and it's not we come from the school of ain't no such thing as negative publicity. Right? Because that's why certain people, when it comes up to talking about people who did dirt, they just refuse to mention them. Because if you mention them, you give them publicity. Just by putting their name out there, you give him publicity, right? One of the footnotes that they had in this, again, this is to show what they know, right? Noble Drew Ali has been compared with Marcus Garvey, founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Drew considered Garvey an inspiration. Drew thought of Garvey as a voice in the wilderness on the issue of racial pride, an orator and prophet who had prepared black people to be receptive to Ali's own message. Garvey was specifically lauded as John the Baptist, who prepared the way for the coming of Noble Drew Ali at Moorish Science Temple meetings. Similar to the Garvey and the UNIA movement, Drew preached the importance of developing unity among all people of African descent. While Drew used many of the same tactics to attract and maintain followers, there were differences between Drew and Garvey. The UNIA, a black nationalist fraternal organization which sought to be a social, friendly, and charitable, was predominantly Christian and adopted many Christian rituals in its meetings. Drew focused on his belief that people of color, right, all blacks, Asiatics, Turks, Arabs, and Latin Americans were all of Moorish origin. Right? They're not arguing the point. They're going with it if they're using it as a reference point. They're going with the fact that Drew Ali focused his belief that people of color, right? And then if you want to check, just so we got, for people who might not know what color is at law. Drew focused on his belief that people of color, all blacks, Asiatics, Turks, Arabs, and Latin Americans were all of Moorish origin. All of them. The Turks, Arabs, Asiatics, which is everybody in Asia, Africa, and all that, right? Blacks, which everybody. Turks, Arabs, and Latin Americans were all of Moorish origin, right? And again, them stressing the fact that people of color are classified as Moorish descent. Color.
An appearance, semblance, or simulacrum as distinguished from that which is real.
So anybody colored is fake. Anybody classifying themselves or others as colored people is saying that they're not real, they're artificial. And if you're artificial, the only thing that is going to restore you to an official capacity is having a nationality. You continue on.
Hence, a prima facie or apparent right. Hence, a deceptive appearance, a plausible, assumed exterior, concealing a lack of reality, a disguise or pretext. In pleading, ground of action admitted to subsist in the opposite party by pleading of one of the parties to an action which is set out as to be apparently valid but which is in reality legally insufficient. A term of the ancient rhetoricians or early adopted into the language of pleading. It was an apparent or prima facie right, and the meaning of the rule that pleading in confession and avoidance should give color was that they should confess the matter adversely alleged to such an extent, at least as to admit some apparent right in the opposite party, which required to be encountered and avoided by allegation of new matter. Color was either expressed, i.e. inserted in the pleading, or implied, which was naturally inherent in the structure of the pleading. The word also means the dark color of skin, showing the presence of Negro blood, and hence it is equivalent to African descent or parentage.
Right? The Moorish Science Temple of America, an incorporated religion. The Moorish Science Temple of America presents itself as a sect of Islam. I don't know who she's talking to, right? That or who she saw that expressed to her that we are a sect of Islam. Right? Now, we know,
Maybe there's different sects of it.
right, there's, what do you mean, a sect of Islam? What sect of Islam are we presenting ourselves to be? Because we don't present ourselves as Sunni, we don't present ourselves as Shiite, or any of the denominations, right? We don't present ourselves as any black Muslims, because we're not black, so that's disqualified, right? So what sect of Islam are they really referring to, right?
And then who there was?
Right? But also draws inspiration from other faiths and philosophies, and has its own scriptures, generally called the Holy Quran or the Circle 7 Quran. Since the 1920s, the group has experienced various changes and decreased enrollment, but the movement is still, quote-unquote, alive today. There are various temples in the United States that follow the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. Moorish Americans identify themselves by their clothing and surnames. The star and crescent, fezzes, turbans, membership cards, buttons, and the Moorish flag physically identify Moorish Americans. So that's jurisdiction right there. Right? They're letting you know. Right, again, remember, she talks about sect of Islam. Right? There's no sect of Islam that is classified as Moorish. There's no sect of Islam that is identified as Moorish American. Right? So all these things are things that once we have our position, right, that we are who we say that we are, then we have to demonstrate that that's what it is in our dealings. Or they're going to go with this.
That's
Right?
it.
And it's not, even though there are things in this that are credible, we don't want to go with this because, like we're saying, truth and falsehood are strangely mixed, so you can't even get anything real out of it. You just have to know what's what. You know what I mean? How about we deal with it before the truth and falsehood gets mixed up? Right? Which, if more Moors were radical, they wouldn't have any, choice side to pick, because it'll be straight across the board that everybody knows that this is the national headwear of all the Moors, and that's the flag of the Moors, and then that's the holy book of the Moors, and everybody has the prophet, and everybody does things according to how things were laid down. Why was it laid down? It was laid down as a civic organization from its inception, and the religious stuff and all that stuff came later, but it didn't take away from the civic nature of what this was. And as soon as you start expressing or acting from the position of you know the law, guaranteed they're going to take a position of trying to prove that you don't, or that you're not the law. And you're standing up for the fact that you are that is what's going to let them know, okay, we think this one's a real one. We think this one is actually, with the truth that we know about what the Moorish movement is. It's tied to all these other different organizations, etc. Right, again, the Moorish Science Temple of America gained validation in 1928 when it was incorporated under the Illinois Religious Corporation Act.
Here we go now.
Right? Again, Moorish historical message, Moorish leaders' historical message to America. The name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928. They got that part right. In accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of the State of Illinois. Legal requirements of the Secretary of the State of Illinois. Not Illinois Religious Corporations Act. Now, Illinois Religious Corporations Act does apply to certain Moorish Science temples that are quote-unquote 501c3 IRS US corporate jurisdictions. That their duty is to make sure that the people stay passive. So there are these individuals called Moorish Science Temple that are under the Religious Corporations Act, but they're not Moorish Science Temple if that's what is governing them. Because the only thing that governs Moors is the fact that we have superior claim in this land, being that we are the founders over here. And anybody else that's over here would have had to come through us. That's why there's a treaty from the US with Morocco. That's why there's Henry Turner versus United States with Louisiana Purchase and all that, because they don't have the superior position. We have the superior position, but we haven't exercised that superior position because we keep trying to say, you know, that you know, we're sovereign, and when it's not, it doesn't go like that. As soon as you say nationality, that already establishes sovereignty. You don't have to say I'm a sovereign in order to be sovereign. Put your status down, and then that would let others know that there's a jurisdictional issue of diversity. Because not everybody out there that they talk to is going to say that they're Moor and pull out a nationality card. Majority of those people are going to say, here's a license, here's passport, here's some type of document that I received from the corporate state, in order to clarify or qualify their identity. And if their identification comes from a corporate state, then more than likely that individual with that identification from a corporate state is a corporation, just like that issuer of that document.
The Clarified Doctrine mentions that too. How government's descending to the level of just mere, like, you know, administrative billing. You know,
Right.
It's not actually government
Right.
buildings, you know, it's just administrative.
And governments take that fall because they were dealing with fiat. That's what made them be just like any other corporation, because they stepped away from the constitutional fold and started exercising as corporations. So you can't be a corporation and claim constitutional authority. If you're a registered corporation, then you can't say, you know, well, the people have to follow constitution or whatever if you're corporate, because that voids the position, right? If the so-called government descends to the mere level of a corporation, then what does that mean about the people who assume that they're part of that government, or people who assume that they're citizens of that thing? They dissolve with that corporation into the corporate jurisdiction, right? And then that's how our people who aren't on nationality and birthright get caught up in, you know, get killed, lose their organs, get killed, something happened to them, right? You know, in a cell somewhere they get killed. You know, traffic stop, people getting shot up. Not even traffic stop. See a guy just walking, shoot a guy up just because. They're under the jurisdiction of the corporations. And the so-called people shooting them up, their job is to protect the corporation, not the individuals who are claiming dial 911 and with these people to help you. No, call your boy down there who you know has the gap that's in Bloods, Crips or whatever. Call that guy. Let him be your police. But as soon as you call these people, they're coming for you. they're not going to protect you when you call them. Especially if it's you and some other, either corporate entity or European or whatever like that, somebody diverse to you, don't worry. When you call them, they're coming to get you. They'll do everything in their power to make sure that you fall in the jurisdiction. Right? Knowingly or unknowingly. Please, bro. Positive beginnings to negative ends. How much is too much? A faith that began as a way for black individuals to find a place to feel welcome, and a treaty that was meant to promote peace among ships, are being manipulated in a way that insults both the faith and the document. The core members of the Moorish Science Temple of America have rejected any association with the radicals. Right? So the core members, which they're obviously talking about the grand body. They're not talking about all these people out here that say that they're Moorish Americans. They're talking about the heads of this. The heads of this are saying that they have rejected any association with the people that are doing this from the root. Why? Because more of those, half of those people are incorporated. Half of those people are agents that were put into this to make sure that nobody knows about it, to make sure that people are passive. And then the radicals are the ones that, you see, right? You see a fez somewhere. Oh, that's probably one of those quote-unquote classified radical Moors, because you're supposed to carry your temple, the fez temple in a bag, you know what I mean, and only take it out of the temple, and then when you go out there, you don't wear fezzes and stuff like that. Right? That's the process. That's the protocol of the so-called temples now, right? Not all, right? But the ones that claim some type of authority. Because remember that the ones that claim some type of authority, in order for them to have that authority, they would have had to have given up something to get that position. Not just gonna, like when they say, like they make the statement, the core members of the Moorish Science Temple have some perspective, right? If you're talking about these core members, you should be able to,
See who they?
Yeah.
Who are they?
Well,
How
that's
do you
core
determine?
people.
How do you determine who's a core?
Right? How do you determine, of all these Moors around here, you came to a core of individuals that you're using as a reference, but then they can't name those individuals? Probably because their names were blacked out in the FBI papers.
Exactly.
Because if you know who those people are, then you know who's real, and then you know who's fake. And the fakers are guaranteed the ones that are stuck in the temple and pushing this as this is some religious whatever. This is some anything other than civic. As soon as they're talking about this is anything other than civic, know that there's some type of level of infiltration in their activity. Because there's no way that Moors are supposed to be in this position if after 1928 people are talking about, they went to they started a Moorish Bureau of Vital Statistics to make sure that all the Moors are counted for and whatever. But then when we go out here today, they still talking about black on paper. They have Moorish American as a box for me to check off. But these guys had a Bureau of Vital Statistics and all this type of stuff. How you have all that stuff, but we're still out here today playing around like we gotta fight for this? Obviously, there's some type of infiltration going on. Something's going on, right? As far as what this is to people who never heard about this. If their mentality is, oh, more sign stamp off, I don't want to convert to whatever, already you know that these people's perspectives are warped as to what this is. And more than likely it's Moors that have them having that perspective. So it's not supposed to be like that. Everybody's supposed to, want to stand up for rights or whatever. I mean, why wouldn't you stand up for rights? Like, you want the right of not get your ass kicked by police, but you don't want to stand up for the right to defend that action that they're doing. Right? History and logic reject any association between the radicals and the treaty. This has not stopped Moorish American radicals from manipulating both, and it does not appear that they have any intention of stopping in the future. At this point, the courts must step in to stop them. That's what Supremo's saying. What they want. The federal court system, right? Fraud again. So they're letting you know what jurisdiction they're dealing with. Because, they should be talking about the Supreme Court. If somebody's going to make a decision on anything with regard to these so-called radicals or whatever, it should be the highest level of so-called court, not the low levels that have delegated authority to be a court, but the actual one that's really, really a court that everybody knows because of the name of it. That's the highest level of court that it is. At this point, the courts must step in to stop them. The federal court system has responded, but the state courts have not been nearly as vocal. The state courts will continue to be tormented by the repeated filing of documents regarding sovereign citizenship and liens until a decision is handed down to act as precedent or proactive measures are taken. The state courts can turn to the federal courts and history for guidance.
One question. What's the similarity or difference between the High Court and the Court of Records?
The court of, okay, if you're keeping records, as far as a court is concerned, the jurisdiction of the court has to be de jure. It cannot be de facto. Because anything, just like we read in the dictionary with color, color means anything that's fake, that's artificial. If a court is artificial and they have a transcript, then that means the transcript's artificial. If the court is artificial and they have a judge, that means the judge is artificial. If the court is saying, we keep records, anybody who comes in here, we're going to put a stamp on your paper, and then we're going to file this paper in our jurisdiction of a court. But that court is de facto, then those records are de facto. So there's no real thing as a court of records as far as we're concerned here. Because the jurisdiction of Canada, whether we look at federal, provincial, or municipal, all of them are colored. None of them are actually really what they claim to be. And none of them. The federal level, Justin Trudeau and all that stuff, they don't have really any authority. They have authority because of the ignorance of people who give them their authority, but as being classified as colored ourselves, we don't have the authority, but there is authority that exists, but we don't have it because we're classified as colored. So the authority is just out there because it's not being claimed by anybody who has a lawful claim. And then those individuals that are corporate entities, they claim that authority from the people whose authority they should be claiming it and being the government and governing themselves. But they don't. But they don't want to do that because of lack of information or whatever like that. They don't want to do that, so they say, well, forget the authority. We'll just be whatever. And then these people are claiming that, okay, fine, if these people aren't going to claim the authority, then we're going to claim the authority, and then we're going to use that authority against them without their knowledge that we're using their authority. We have them think that we got the authority from the queen or something like that, and the queen is the one that gave us the authority because, she's on the money and the flag and whatever like that, when they don't have any authority.
So it's de facto, that's what you're saying?
Right.
Okay. And the real court, the high court now, how is that, how do we identify or define that?
It's supposed to be defined in its nature and in its presentation. So we can say the court classified as supreme is the one that's on top if we look up what supreme is, right? That's the one that is superior to everybody else, right? But again, if the Supreme Court is of Canada, and Canada is a de facto corporation, does that court have power? All right, so now we have to abandon that court. So we can't go to them because they're not legitimate, right? So what's the next level? Okay, well the next level is, what was set up before Canada, United States. All right, so now let's go to them. So we have to go to all the jurisdictions that say Supreme Court and see if they qualify. Right, so now we go to Supreme Court of New York. Well, New York, that's a private corporation, so those guys can't be legitimate, so forget them. Supreme Court of, Illinois. Oh, Illinois, that's a private corporation, so they can't be really good. So, and then we eliminate all them. So now, there's no Supreme Court there now. So now we go to the next level now, which is international. But remember that in order for you to get to international, you have to go through the low-level court first. International court's not going to see you unless you say you went to the little court, and then they went to the little court, and then those guys and they went to the, so now we're coming to you. Right? The issue that we have with the jurisdictions of the international courts is that those guys have been compromised. Those people are owned by IMF and all that type of stuff. So now, the people are left to fend for themselves with regard to their rights, which is why these people are mad at don't file liens and all that stuff, because really that's what the recourse is. The recourse is somebody violate you, you sue them. In any court.
Is not why the prophet said enforce the Constitution? We
Right.
have to literally enforce ourselves like we can.
And enforcing the Constitution is to make sure that these people don't violate you. Enforcing the Constitution, you don't need a court for that. That comes with knowledge of there's a Constitution that is the supreme law of the land. And with the knowledge of going through the Constitution and taking your notes and underlining stuff and whatever like that, you know where the jurisdiction lies, who has jurisdiction, and whether somebody's abusing you under the claim of they have jurisdiction.
Okay, so this is not the Constitution, we're not talking about it.
The Constitution Act
It's an
of Canada,
Oh, okay,
because the act is not supreme.
okay.
Because even in that act, if you're talking about the 1867 one or the 1982, it states any constitution written before the inception of this constitution stands. So if Canada Constitution Act of 1867, written in 1867, there was a constitution before that. So we have to go and ascertain what constitution was written before that.
Do you have access to that?
Absolutely. Right? Because what constitution was written before 1867? That's the,
So my next question would be, well, who jointly wrote that constitution?
that's the good question. You look and see who the signers were. Because remember, when they say they framed the Constitution, the difference between signers, it's just like you just taking a piece of paper and framing it.
Yeah,
I mean, you just put it in a frame.
right,
That's exactly what they're saying. So they're the ones that framed it.
yeah.
In other words, they took it from the organic Constitution, which was written by the signers. Find out who the signers were.
And even though the treaties are before the Constitution, right?
Yeah,
Right.
speak of those.
which now adds on more stuff now.
Yeah,
Right, which is why again they're talking about Moors and the treaty, and they're manipulating the treaty and all that type of stuff because you
Treaty.
know what I mean. They're trying to imply that
Can't change.
the standing of the standing that Moors are taking with regard to the treaty is notwithstanding, when it's irrelevant. It's not about Moors. If you're talking about the treaty, it's about the treaty.
It's about the treaty.
It's not about us, what we do or don't do. It's really about the treaty itself, right? And then you know, and then they're gonna bring up about, well, you know, the treaty is only supposed to be enforced for 50 years, and you know, it's 2015
But
now,
that should
so
be within
15
the-
years are gone.
But that should be written within the treaty itself.
Exactly, which it is. But keep in mind that when we call, again, it comes back to the signers, right?
Mm.
Versus the framers. The signers of the treaty are late people that are keeping it perpetual by signing it.
Mhm. But they didn't draft it up.
But they weren't the drafters in the sense of,
Exactly.
you know what I mean, like they made sure that it was presented to the individuals who were trying to start up stuff, and you know what I mean, give them some type of authority or whatever. It was presented to them, but they're not the foundation of this document, right? Because even when we look at, you know, the whole thing with the 50 years, they're going to talk about, well, it wasn't signed after a certain period of time, so it has no standing. Well, it wasn't signed because they assassinated the guy who was the prince that was supposed to be the one that was going to sign it to keep it perpetual. But if they get the guy who's supposed to sign it out of circulation and now it's not signed, then
There's no treaty.
there's no treaty. This is what they're trying to imply.
Yeah.
That, well, if it hasn't been signed, then it has no standing. Well, they just took oaths on the Constitution,
So then the
which they're using still. You know, I mean, yeah, Constitution and all this stuff.
Okay.
Okay, well, if the Constitution exists, then the treaty has to exist because the treaty comes before the Constitution.
So if neither exists, then your argument is dead in the water. That means that you're de facto anyway.
And then we realize that the reason why they're doing or whatever is because they're de facto, and it's being put out there that they're de facto, and they're trying to get the people who don't know about de facto, de jure, to just go with what's said.
So they're basically taking the position of every man for himself, and if I can, you know, if I can usurp your
So that's mob
your
rule.
sense of independence or whatever, I take it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, just like they did in the islands. They tell them, oh yeah, we want to be independent from the Queen. Okay, no problem. And the Queen comes out, okay, you guys are independent now, or whatever like that. And she goes about her business, but then they're still under the jurisdiction of IMF. How are you under the jurisdiction of IMF if you're independent? Why are you even accepting something from IMF if you're independent? Like, why would you even say, as a government, you know what I mean, that's independent,
Well, yeah.
we're not gonna sell our own papaya and dasheen and whatever we grow. We're not gonna sell our own stuff. We're gonna get a loan from some foreigners who we just got independent from foreigners. Now we're gonna go to foreigners again, contract with them, to help them pay off our debt, because now that we're independent, we don't have any help from the Queen, so now we're going to need assistance or whatever, right? And then put themselves in a hole again.
Libro.
Is that like Jamaica now?
Right.
Exactly.
Right now, what they're going through right now, the fact that they have to deal with the IMF.
And the IMF is stopping them from
And the IMF is stopping them from using their own food, right, for their people, but they can export the same food that they grow, they can export that from somewhere else.
They to give them.
But they grow it right there.
Yeah.
So you grow it right there, you export it. Right? Well, you know, the deal with the IMF is that we can't. So wait, I thought you guys independent or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, but then, you know, what nobody's paying attention to is these people in the hills of Jamaica called Maroons.
Yeah.
That have nothing to do with whatever. They got their farm and all that stuff. They got their houses and they got their little society, their little whatever that they, and then everybody's looking at them, oh no, those guys are the radicals. Those guys are the bushmen. They don't know nothing or whatever. But every time one of those guys come to town or whatever, everybody's running to them to go buy their little bush, whatever that they brought, little bottle of stuff that they made in the bushes. Oh yeah, because you know what my grandma says, that if you buy from those guys, you know, you live forever when you drink this stuff. but they don't connect that they are them. Just like black people don't connect that they're Moors.
That's right.
You know, they see Moors and we look like them,
Yeah.
but they don't ever
Think that. Yeah.
think that, hey, that guy's just like me, but he's not different. How come you're different?
I was arguing with my parents all the time.
Having said that, there was a point I think, you know, we perhaps need to discuss or clarify. Was when Justin swore allegiance. So he didn't swear to the people that he was supposed to be representing.
Trudeau?
Yeah.
Oh, you heard the speech? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He swore it, you know, just to the Queen.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And there are other folks here
Yeah.
who say no, they
Who does it not?
No,
we're not.
we're not
Yeah.
with that, you know.
We're not with that.
Yeah,
Right? Let's see, no.
yeah.
The legitimacy of that position that they're taking. You know what I mean?
So what was that all about? I mean, that had to be an act
With the
with him doing that.
yeah.
That had to be an act.
Yeah, the act for the dumb public.
To create a psychological.
Perpetual.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Perpetual tie to an entity that is not really,
So how do we
doesn't really have
how
jurisdiction.
do we neutralize that in the mind of, in our minds?
What's your nationality?
Okay. And the definition of nationality is very clear among all of us,
Yeah.
right? So,
With now,
with exception.
yeah.
I'm just
If
using it
we
in general sense.
a good example always is other people, right? With regard to when we look at our condition, right, as a people, when we look at, you know, for example, the fact alone that you can stop and say, hold on a second, Justin Trudeau is saying that he's showing allegiance to the Queen, but then people who are here are saying that, no, we don't want to show allegiance to the Queen. If I take my oath of whatever, it's not going to be to the Queen. I want you to take the Queen out of you know what I mean, the wordage of the oath or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just the fact that you recognize that there's two things going on, right? Where average person, they don't care. That's their new prime minister. You know what I mean? They pay their taxes or whatever like that. They got their pension. They got whatever. They're good. You know what I mean? They don't know that all those pensions and stuff they got's already gone.
Been spent.
You know what I mean? That they're just getting a paper every month saying, yeah, your pension is 50,000 or whatever. Oh yeah, I got it. Stuff's empty. Ain't nothing there. It appears to be there because they see something on the paper, right? You know, it's just like how am I able to have a Scotiabank card that I went to Scotiabank, put my money in there, right? But now I can go to CIBC, pay $3 or whatever, and I can take money out in another bank machine that has nothing to do with who I put my money in. Something's wrong with that picture. So there's nothing there.
At all.
So it's all a facade. It's all an illusion. So they're trying to keep their illusion alive that there's a Canada and there's a prime minister and he has a cabinet of ministers under him, and then there's a minister of transport, and they give the licenses, and when all that is private corporations that have nothing to do with government, they have nothing to do with any type of monarchical or whatever authority. They're no different than a convenience store, and people are saying convenience store is a country, and when they go in there, oh yeah, I'm a citizen of this country.
You know, how does that tie in with the fact that the economic system under which we work, the system under which we work here in Canada, when I say work, do business, right, is based on a system called social credit, right? In the United States, we know their economy originally was set up where gold was the reference, the standard of reference with respect to their
regard to money or value, wealth, whatever.
Here in Canada, it was called social credit.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong here.
Right.
And it was actually an idea that came from somebody out of Alberta. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Right? And it is based on what happens here every 4 years, where part of it, where they do an audit, where part of it is the census, where all the information of every single person is taken
is gathered
and it's gathered, and it's packaged. When I say package, there's a price, there's a value that's put on it.
And that's how they create
one part of it.
Right.
But then they also do a census in terms of their forestry resources.
Right.
And they do a census in terms of their mineral resources, even though they're not digging it out the ground.
Okay, right. No. Forestry resources and mineral resources are tied to the land.
And all the other natural resources such as water and all these other things.
That's tied to the land.
Right.
That has nothing to do with those people. They're adding that to the package as a disguise to show that, yeah, we have jurisdiction in that. But like you said, they're not digging no mines or nothing like that.
No, they just figure out how much is there.
How much is there, and they put a price on it. But they're not pulling up and saying, okay, here's what it is or whatever. All right, because that's the land.
Right.
They don't have jurisdiction on the land. They don't have jurisdiction on private, corporate property,
which is the
census.
which is the people.
Right.
But the people in the census are classified as shadow.
That's their package.
That's
because the census was created by the Department of Agriculture, not Service Canada. Why is the Department of Agriculture?
Quite really one wants to produce anything. Bottom line,
you have to be property.
You gotta feed your channel.
In order for
I gotta get this question.
Yeah, get it out.
Supreme, and this is a perfect segue. We were just talking about it. Bottom rate. I want you to read the bottom rate. There's a particular
term,
lawful term to exactly what you're asking.
And then on the other thing.
No,
it's good.
That's what
Now
I'm saying.
think about this now.
Yeah.
Think about this now. So we have this thing right here, right?
Yeah, right.
Take this off. And I said, put water in this. Right? You can fill it up. They put juice in this. You fill it up. Go get some dirt or whatever, put in this. You can fill it up. Put credit in this. What are you going to put in there?
Nothing.
All right. What's credit?
Fiat's not fiat. It's just imagination.
Nothing. It doesn't exist.
But without people, it could not exist either.
But it's not credit in that sense of something tangible.
No.
It's credit in the sense of
what could you put on it?
What value or
What value? Where's the value coming from?
Yeah,
The value is coming from
Yeah, for the people,
being,
yeah,
yeah.
right?
yeah,
They say, have a birth certificate,
yeah.
so that that certificate can be monetized. When they monetize the certificate, then they sell it to the treasury, and that's how they create their quote-unquote credit. That's why they have a bureau for credit, right? And then they're gonna check to see if you're credible. They're gonna check the bureau
See if you're in there.
to see if you have credit. And then if the bureau says you're credible, then we're gonna give you a card, we'll give you a house,
Yeah.
we'll give you whatever. If the bureau says that you're not credible and you're Z rating, then nothing for you. But that individual could have $1 million in the bank.
Yep.
That individual could have all these properties or whatever like that.
Yep.
They can have 50 cars, they can have whatever. But if that bureau says that you owe whatever, you went bankrupt or whatever like that, they're not gonna deal with you. Because they can only deal with illusions. They cannot deal with reality. So they have to keep this illusion, they have to keep this hologram alive. They have to keep people going up to the hologram thinking that that's a real individual they're dealing with, you know, even though they can put their hand through them or whatever, but they think, oh yeah, that guy is real. But it's a hologram that they're dealing with. There's no countries. All countries are holograms. They're not actual land.
Right.
It's a figment of people's imagination, because in order for people to break the spell, right, of this illusion that they're under, right? In order for people to break the spell, they're going to have to do some serious self-realization for themselves as an individual, right? Like we say with people who say, doesn't matter what you call yourself. Well, you know, there's no people on the planet called purple, even though that's their pigmentation. But they don't call themselves that, because they're not living in that illusion of people are colors. It doesn't matter what they call yourself, right? They have some type of tangible thing that ties them to existence. It's not just, you know, or it doesn't matter, or who cares, or whatever like that. They have a tangible thing. You know what I mean? And that's where we are, trying to get people to realize that there's tangible things
That have real value.
that have real value. Stop looking at the illusionary things as what's valuable, because it's an illusion. It's not really.
And really, the highest asset we have is ourselves. Each, you know,
Right.
people.
Yeah.
People. Without people, nothing really has.
Nothing really-
Operating, you're right.
Nothing can operate without people.
Yeah.
No different than people up here say, yeah, we're the grand chic and we're the grand whatever. If there's nobody out here, ain't no class going on. Who you teaching?
Yeah, because why I'm bringing it up, I'm searching for ways in which I can segue or simplify the whole thing so that more people would
Could get it.
Could get it.
Yeah, yeah.
And realize that you gotta look at things in a totally different way. And our greatest weakness lies in the fact that we don't see the strength in being united.
Right.
But we're not united because we don't have a common focal point.
Right. And the common focal point is nationality.
Right. And
Ask
we don't see that, you know,
Chinese, ask Hindus, ask.
Reduce to like religion. What religion you
Right,
got?
or religion, or what kind of hairstyle you got, or what kind of shirt you got, or which shoes do you buy, or what music you listen to create what people are.
Yeah, and these are all corporations.
All illusionary.
Illusions. Yeah, right.
Because even if you go to people who are nationals, you know what I mean? They got songs they listen to.
Yeah.
They got different church, temple, whatever that they go to. You know what I mean? They're not caught up in like how we're caught up that associations, organizations is who we are. They're not caught up in that. They know that I'm Chinese. whether I'm Buddhist, whether I'm Hindu, atheist, whatever, I have a origin.
But even when we say, even when the word "you are African" is used, how is that really resonating with us? You know, you go to a brother or sister, you say, listen, because that's the word that's I'm African, right?
Yeah.
But how is that really resonating in terms of having a sense of a true and concrete identity there?
Well, you know, to come back again, when we speak with our people.
I agree with what you're saying, you know.
When we speak with our people,
Yeah.
only our people, as far as, you know, when I say our people, people in North America,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Islands or whatever,
Yeah.
only them say I'm African.
Right.
Nobody else doesn't talk like that. Everybody else is I'm Congolese,
It's true.
I'm Eritrean, I'm Ethiopian, I'm Zimbabwean, I'm South, like they don't say I'm African as their identity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only we do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then those people, because once they come over here,
My fault.
they get contracted not to talk to us on this level that, oh no, you can't say African or whatever like that, right? And two, they get their little brainwashed stuff because they're over there listening to BT. They come over here and think that what they saw on BT is what people are over here.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Which is their illusionary whatever.
Exactly.
That they're dealing with over there. You know what I mean? But then, you know, the people here don't recognize that they're more advanced than the people back there. They think, oh, Africa's the founder of this, so those people have more stuff than there's more ancient over here than over there. How they got more stuff over there when they got pyramids here older than the stuff over there? How are they the smarter ones?
And why are they turning to here?
Yeah, because they know that over here is the over here is where the foundation is.
I was gonna say,
It's not over there.
whatever country you go in Africa, you know, a lot
They
of
want to
Africa,
hear.
everybody wants to be like the Moors in North America.
Yeah.
No matter, I don't care where you go,
Yeah.
every part of the planet wants to be like the Moors here. You can go to any country in Africa, you can go to England, you can go to France, you can go to Japan. You got people in Japan that are emulating Moors in North America. No matter where you go, which obviously means something's going on with us, why everybody in the world wants to be like us, even though the people who are emulating don't even know who they are. But is that at some conscious level that the rest of the world is picking it up? Like, yo, I'm gonna get down, like, whatever it is.
Well, you help me there to sort of explain it, because referring to yourself as African as opposed to you're Moroccan or you're, you know, whatever, shows that you really lost in terms of who you really are.
You don't even know what it is.
So since I can't pick who I really am, I'm going to take the whole thing.
Take the whole thing.
I'm saying stop here.
Sometimes
Stop where I'm there.
they can't even agree on African, so they'll take two continents. They'll say I'm African and American. They'll take two continents and be like, yo, I'm good, man. I'm from somewhere in between the American continent and the African continent. I gotta be from somewhere in between those two places. I'll take them both.
You know, you lost.
Yeah,
God.
yeah. You know, and it's not like they have to be. They don't have to be lost.
Not at all.
They don't have to not get what Moore's been saying since Drew Ali been around.
Yeah, but even in addressing this, we really should address it with a sense of humor, because when you put it in a humorous way, then the person gets it. Yeah, right. No, you gotta.
But you see, that's the humor behind it. It's like you look at them and it's like you ask a child, like, what color is your skin? This one child said, well, I'm Sherry. Because she was like brown, but she's like Sherry, because she looked Sherry.
Yeah.
She knows she's not black. She said, like, she did not say black.
Okay.
She says cherry. And she said, oh, well, I mean, it's a little light brown.
Okay.
But she didn't say black.
Okay.
Right? You look at it, as I said, you just ask a child. The child will tell you.
Yeah, you turn black to indoctrination. You know what I mean? You go from being what you are to being indoctrinated, and all of a sudden you're grown to saying you're black.
Yeah, it's just like when we say do you drink milk? Sometimes, I might drink, almond milk, rice milk, soy milk, whatever. Oh, how come you don't drink, regular milk? You lactose? Well, no, but I don't see adult cows drinking adult milk, cow milk. So why would I, as an adult, drink cow's milk if adult cows aren't even drinking cow's milk? That's their milk, and they're not even drinking it as adults.
Exactly.
Forget, it's pus and all that stuff like that. Forget all that stuff.
Had to bring it up.
Right? You know what I mean? Because it's foreign to nature.
In the calf. Stop taking it.
Yeah.
You don't want it.
Right? It's foreign to nature.
Taking it.
Right? If your identity is based on a birth certificate, a license, social security, whatever, that's foreign to nature. That's not real. That's why we always talk about, it's easy to be manipulated or brainwashed. Just look at nature. Just look at all these pigeons out here eating hamburgers and drinking soda and all that stuff like that. That's not natural to them.
Eating worms.
That's not natural. When you see a bird going in a skyscraper and stuff like that to build a nest in a little crevice or whatever, that's not natural. You need a tree or something like that. But, roaches. You know what I mean? Roaches adapt to whatever's around them. You know what I mean? Roaches adapt to roach spray. That spray not working. Like you spray the roach and the roach is like,
It looks at you like, what do you want?
you know what I mean? Something stronger. It's
To add on to that nature part, what's funny is that one of my old buildings, I had a roach infestation problem. And they kept bringing all these different companies to kill the roaches, right? I've been a naturalist from time, so I tell my wife, I'm like, listen, let's look at natural ways to kill roaches. And to add on to the nature topic, is that the only thing that kill roaches that they cannot build immunity to is things from nature. So they have this, I forgot what the leaf is, but it's a I forgot, it starts with the B, but it's a certain type of leaf that when they come near it, they're gone. Or if they rub up against the side of it, like if their body rubs against the leaf, it breaks apart the exoskeleton, and then it makes them immune to all whatever in nature. So we got rid of the roaches that was in our apartment, and the rest of the building couldn't get rid of it. And what we did, we sprinkled the leaf all around the place, and they wouldn't come back to the house. But that's just to add on to the nature part, where it's just like, you see these chemical companies come spray that, I guess we're doing it for a week. Before you know, all of a sudden the roaches are back. It's 10 times worse. Yeah, exactly. you apply things from nature, and these roaches are dead. They're gone. So that is pretty interesting, that nature part. Bottomry. In maritime law, a contract by which the owner of a ship borrows for the use, equipment, or repair of a vessel, and for a definitive term, pledges the ship, or the keel or bottom of the ship, pars pro toto, as security, it being stipulated that if the ship be lost in the specified voyage, or during the limited time, by any of the perils enumerated, the lender shall lose his money.
Okay, so when we now remember they qualified a maritime law. So they qualify the position that they're taking with regard to this term bottomry, and then it's relative to ships and the activity of, right, just like when they're talking about the treaty, they're talking about its connection to ships and ships getting hijacked and whatever. That's not what treaties not only about ships or whatever. Treaties deal with slavery too, of people. You know what I mean? When you look at the ship is the jurisdiction that's claiming to issue these instruments, right? So the ship, the actual vessel, is the country, the state, the province, city, whatever, right? The cargo of the ship is the people who aren't even there, that their property.
Right.
They think that, oh, I'm a member of whatever society, then I am a citizen. Right? When that's not even what's going on.
Yeah. But the next logical question should be, once that realization comes, like this is what this is how you're seen, then what recourse?
What do we do next?
What do you next?
Right. Right. And this is what
ship.
right? It's all about getting off that ship. And how you get off the ship is getting your mind.
Yeah, but you see, the picture that most people have when you talk ship is, if I jump ship, I can't swim, I'm gonna sink. So instead of leaving the ship,
Yeah.
they stay on the ship for just so as to survive.
You see, but now remember.
The ship I learn to swim and then I hit the road.
Yeah, because remember as well.
Why do you say that?
Remember as well that they're talking about maritime law.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Maritime law is on land.
All right.
Maritime law is not.
an allegorical
Yeah.
sense, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, but this is what I'm saying. That
That's what I said
even
when I
if we
said-
use it from an allegorical perspective,
yeah.
if you jump ship, you're on land when you jump ship. You don't have to worry about swimming anyway.
Right. But what I'm saying is that's the
Yeah, the mindset. Yeah, the
of
mindset that
individual.
right,
That if I
right.
leave the ship, how am I going to survive?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
the guys are on land.
Because there's no teaching in terms of what you do with the land.
Right.
You ask the average individual what mineral resources you have around you.
Yeah.
Unless they go to Google, they can't tell
They
you.
don't know. Right. Right.
A guy can't go up there and pick up a piece of dirt and say, okay, we got this, we got that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we don't have that knowledge,
Right.
That's a good point.
right? You know,
Well, this is why
we wouldn't even know lead if we saw it.
this is why the work that was being done by Noble Drew Ali back then, bringing the people back to their right frame of mind, we would have the people that are qualified in those areas with the right state of mind to let us know, you know, what's going on, what's up, right? If the people don't have that mindset, peace family. If the people don't have that mindset,
Right.
right, that, you know, something is wrong out here, they think everything is all right. No, there's no issues. Everything's cool.
Yeah.
That's their mentality.
Yeah.
Then they're going down with the ship.
Yeah. Well, that's why they eat so many sweets. That's the comfort zone.
They're going down with the ship. If their mindset is that things are okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Things aren't, you know what I mean, well right now, especially as far as Asiatics are concerned,
Yeah.
right? You know, if they're looking at like the conditions going on out there and seeing it as things are normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, even like when you're talking about things, you know, gold not being in circulation anymore, everything's fiat, credit, or whatever. And you think that that's normal?
That's not normal. But I mean, don't. I'm going to use it in a general sense, but I'm going to use it in a general sense. Don't we talk ourselves into believing that it is normal,
Yep.
and try to convince ourselves by sedating ourselves in many
Yeah,
different
yeah.
ways so as to not face the reality?
Right.
Okay? But we can only run from the truth for so long, right?
Yeah, right.
So when reality does kick in, and you've been living an illusionary lifestyle, what we ought to be doing is preparing ourselves to deal with it when that reality,
When that reality kicks in. Right, right. Because, you know, majority of people are going to be collateral damage.
Yeah,
That's just what it is.
And this is unfortunate because the brightest
Go.
I don't want to. I don't know if I should take it there. Well, I was going to say.
Go anywhere you want.
Okay. The brightest, our bright family, right? When trouble comes, there's two things that they think they need to protect themselves from trouble. Having a weapon, or grab my money and run somewhere. Right? And even if they did that, as you refer to the Maroons in Jamaica, they don't have to run to go nowhere. Everything that they is right there.
No need to run anywhere. No need to jump ship.
They know.
Oh, you see, that's the whole point.
The rest of Jamaica doesn't know.
Yeah, is that once you step on land, and then we go back in regards to our nationality as a Moor is a tract of land. So you don't need to go anywhere.
You see that? You remember I think it's the paper on Wednesday the 9th with the Jesus, the white Jesus. You heard about it?
Oh yeah, with the suing, because the Jesus is European or whatever like that. Here one skin of brass, and that's discrimination or whatever.
Well, like that's how I know, like from with my parents. But then I have this Peru guy from Peru.
Yeah.
We were talking about it, and he said to me, "Oh no, my Jesus is black.
Yeah.
He's not no white one.
Yeah.
He's black and he's curly hair like you. You want to see him?" I said, "Yeah." "You want to see him today?"
He gave you the picture of it.
Yeah. He gave me one. He gave me one. And he showed me, said, "This is the Jesus. He do everything to. This is the Jesus." You see? So like we're in the Christian world back in Jamaica. They're showing us white Jesus all over life. But this my friend from Peru.
From Peru.
Peru.
There we go.
And there it is. He said, "Take that. That one is yours."
And then remember that he said, "My Jesus looks like you."
Yeah.
Jesus is a Moor.
He's telling me my Jesus look like you.
My Jesus looks like you.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right? And they don't even speak the language or anything like that, different language, but they know that the standard reference point of quote unquote God or whatever is Asiatic, not some European version.
Like even in Poland too, they worship the Black Madonna and Child.
Yeah.
They don't mess with no blonde
Yeah.
hair or white stuff.
Yeah.
It's the Black Madonna.
They're not playing with no pale nothing as their superior power, you know. Right? There was a couple questions. We have one.
Islam, Moors, Amazairu, Mother's Bay. Islam, Kujo. All honor to all prophets, all honor to Prophet Noble Jew Ali, all honor to all ancestors seen and unseen, all honor to all mothers. Alright, the first testimony is basically, I had a situation, moved to a new area, and I had to put my descendant in the colony school system. And basically, you know how they give you the running around and do all that, but I mean, after litigation, I mean, everything, status is on deck, birthright, nationality, no problem, you know, easy breezy. The second one is, I'm new to the area, and you know how you go to a different, you know, territorial, you know, you try to find a Moorish Science Temple of America. So there's a particular Moorish Science Temple of America. It's near so-called Pittsburgh, and they told me that they really don't deal with nationality the way other people, so-called other groups is. They follow the reincarnated prophet. So, I'm asking, like, what questions, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I thought the mission statement was to help fallen humanity and teach the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America to be better citizens. And, you got to be a citizen before you could be a member of any organization. You just can't just be on the landmass without belonging to a nation. You know what I'm saying? A citizen, some type of form of citizenship. Whether it's quasi, something. But at the same time, you feel me? It's really sad, and in these days of times, people still playing church, but Allah guides this movement. So peace and love.
Right, so that was Brother Amazite that just moved to a different area. So when you have, just like we were talking about, you have these jurisdictions of Moors that are exercising from a non-constitutional perspective. They're exercising from control the people's birthright, own the people's birthright. They can do this, they can't do that. They can, their teaching has to be of a particular format, whatever. But he will be looked at as quote unquote radical for questioning them on why are you guys talking like this in the Moorish Science Temple, right? Just like you said, before you can be a member, you have to be a citizen of whatever, anything, right? If you're not a citizen, then more than likely when you go into that spot, they're going to play you, because you're not going to have the background knowledge of civics to know what they're supposed to be doing, what their obligations are versus what their obligations aren't. Because if you're not a citizen, you're not going to know civics. You know what I mean? Because the individual that becomes a member has to know. That's why we have the classes. You know what I mean? Brother Omar Bey said, we need to start up classes and get people this information in a certain amount of classes, and then they can say, proclaim their nationality or whatever like that. Because if you don't have the information, you're just proclaiming your nationality, then you're going to go out there and do craziness with the birthright, thinking that, card is safe and papers, I got papers right here, you guys can't arrest me and stuff like that. Well, they'll probably, kick your ass a little bit. Just because. You know what I mean? Alright? There was another question.
But the only term I see issue of the necessity for paper, or the apparent necessity for paper arising, is in the course of traveling.
Some kind
of movement,
right,
where you're going to go into what somebody else perceives as their territory, and
right,
you're going to cross, and
yeah,
then they want to see some
document. They want to see something to prove, yeah,
that this,
right,
just prove who you are and if you have a right to be there. So the question is, how do you address that question with the fact that having a paper does not really address all the issues?
Well, it's supposed to be, the paper is supposed to be talking on your behalf. The paper is supposed to be a example of what is in your mind frame.
It should speak for itself.
It speaks for
it. You shouldn't have to speak for it.
For it.
Right.
You present it, it talks for itself. But the energy that is behind it, that's why we tell people, don't go online copying papers. Because you don't know the energy of the individual that put that paper together. If they're messed up energy and now you're taking that and you just put your name on it and you don't re-edit it or anything like that, then you could be absorbing their whatever messed up stuff that, and then you give your papers, it doesn't work, and then you're saying, oh, paper's not right, or they didn't teach me right. Well, no, you got to pay for a messed up guy. And now you got his energy on you because the word is God. And words have power. You know what I mean?
And there's a lot out there, and it's difficult for many to filter out, what is rot from what is, what is real meat.
Yeah, but that comes with having, you have to have some type of faculties working, right? Like you're not going to, this isn't going to resonate with you if you're not right here. Like it's just not. It's nothing against anybody that doesn't get this or whatever like that. That's just what it is. And we realize every day more and more that less and less people are right up here.
Yeah.
There's more people messed up here. You know what I mean? Than the conditions prove.
And with good reason too, because I had a call today, for instance, from someone who basically called me for some advice, and it had to do. This person, from speaking to them, appears to be holding a prominent position somewhere, but they're messed up in that the very environment in which they're working has them messed up.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're not even thinking straight anymore.
Right.
I think I brought that up.
Last year, I believe so.
Previous discussion.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't, I'm privy to a lot of stuff because of my training.
Right.
So I see where even the very brightest could really get messed up without even realizing what's messing with
Not even catching it. Not even catching it. Not even realizing what's happening.
Not even realizing that whatever it is, that they're not even not hearing or seeing, it's still messing with them.
Right.
Causing them to maybe sometimes end up in an asylum.
Yeah. And there really has to be a humility with regard to this information. Because you can, like we were saying in the thing, you can use this information and you can make people's life horrible with this information.
The pathology doesn't have to be necessarily just physical physical something. It could also be a psychological pathology. And
it's probably more psychological than
physical. But again, they can't really do much unless they come through the physical.
Right. Yeah. And that's why we're saying that we have doors open, but we're not going out there promoting this to have warped people coming here with their warped perspectives to take this information and go out there and do warped stuff because they're not good up here. It's not.
But
that doesn't help anybody.
Even realize how messed up this.
Yeah. I mean, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna save everybody.
You're gonna get them on.
You know what I'm saying? Some people are, some people are gonna be collateral damage. Like it's not. That's just where it is. Here's where we are. We never. We're not looking at this at its inception. We're 300, 400 years later, removed from what happened, and now we're looking at the conditions like, oh yeah, just go out there and do this, and that'll fix fix nothing. You're talking about 400 years of people getting damaged. You know what I mean? So there's gonna have to be a, clean the slate, and let's write on the board properly now. Instead of just, writing everywhere, taking up space that you don't need to take up. How about, we do stuff in sentences or whatever like that instead of, like this or whatever, so we have more room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's a process. And it's not overnight. It's going to be, some people are going to be here for the long haul, meaning that, they're going to have to come back a few more times, figure out their stuff. Other people, they got to figure out, and they ain't coming back here. So those people still got to fend on their own when they come back to do whatever they got to do.
The weakest link I see is the fact that we don't stick together. We're running off in the different direction.
Yeah.
And that's where we fall down.
Yeah.
That's why we're not going anywhere.
And spread thin.
Yeah.
right? We're coming back to that same thing that, you know, it's like I was telling my brother today that, you know, he left a, you know, we were same brother we were doing this back and forth thing on Facebook with, and I'm like, if you really know so much or whatever, here's the address or whatever, come check me, because this is not going nowhere, me going back and forth with you on this thing, you trying to prove something. So he left a message. All right, cool, you know, you leave a message, number, you know, we're gonna call you back. Call back, you know what I mean? Going back and forth, you know, same shit or whatever. Like, okay, you know what? Let's stop. What's your nationality? Since you know so much about so much stuff and all that stuff, what's your nationality? Oh, my nationality is Maroon. That ain't no goddamn nationality. Shut the hell up. What's your nationality? My nationality is Maroon. How's your nationality Maroon? That's a tribe of Moors. That's not the nationality. Well, that's my nationality. You can't tell me about my nationality. Then, you know. Great. Because there's nothing to talk about. Because the foundation everywhere you go, the people who are unified, the people who say we are one people and all that stuff like that, they have some type of nationality, they have some type of native origin to that landmass. Even the people in Australia or whatever that don't even say we're Australian, we're native or whatever like that. Everybody has that mindset. It's not some of them saying, oh well, we're native, and then some of them saying Aboriginal, and then some of them saying indigenous, and then some of them say, well, you know, we're, you know what I mean, colonized ancient people of them have one mindset, which is that they're native, they're Aboriginal, indigenous, right? That might not be national, that might be tribal, but everybody being on that perspective is what makes it work, is what makes it something that is acknowledged. But if, you know, he's saying that he's whatever, and then you're saying you're whatever, and then I'm saying I'm something different, and then he's saying he's something whatever, he's saying he's something, but we all look the same. To the world, we look like stupid people. Because how all you guys look the same, but you're telling me you're different than this guy, but you look just like him. And then when they compare us to everybody else, we don't look like Angolans, we don't look like Nigerians, we don't look like Ghanaians, we don't look like anybody over there. And matter of fact, the people over there, when we go over there, they're, thanks for coming home, but you know what I mean? You're from over there. We know that you're not from over here. Because, you know, you got this little thing right here, that there's a line right there. That's not from over here. Well, you know, you got this, you know, little thing, your earlobe is a little lower than ours over here, then you're not from here. That's how they know. You know what I mean? And those people are very, 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 very aware that not everybody over here came from over there. Very select few actually came from over there. Majority of us over here are from over here, and we have to acknowledge that this is where our position is. And if we're saying that we're from over here, whether it's the islands or whatever like that, you know what I mean? We're the Aboriginal indigenous people.
Yeah, I know that for a fact.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, but that's not a nationality. You know, that's a qualification. That's a geographical representation. But our nationality was brought back to us with Noble Drew Ali, telling us that we're Moors. And again, we go all across the world. Nobody in the world recognizes quote-unquote black, Negro, African, whatever as an identity of dark-skinned people. Nobody. The only place in the world that happens is North America. Nowhere else in the world. You know what I mean? And we're talking from this perspective, one, because we know people who look like us that travel the world, and they come back with their report that, yo, I went to Australia, New Zealand, went to, you know what I mean, Germany, China, whatever, anywhere I go, they know that there's no such thing as black people that look like me. There's nothing called that. They know that. Right? Regardless of where we go. So when we say, unity, or our people need to unify, that polarizing force is nationality. Unity in its
Centered around
complete perspective is, what's your nationality?
Always will be us.
That's what it is.
So how do we find so much difficulty in relating to that? Honest to that.
Because majority of the people don't want to think, they want to listen to somebody. And 99% of the time, the individual that they're listening to is selling them out to the state by telling them it's okay, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. Call yourself black when you're brown. But if you want to call yourself that, lie to yourself, lie to your children or whatever, have them growing up with this crazy mindset, then, what do you expect? What do you want? You know what I mean? We tell people, birth certificate fraud. If you're going to go get birth certificate for your children or whatever like that, you better reserve your rights on that thing right there, because CAS is going to use those stuff when they do the natal chart, after they get the birth record, and they do the natal chart of the child, and they realize that, he's going to be gone or whatever, they're going to suppress him immediately when he starts going into these institutions, or her. Immediately. You know what I mean? And I know, because they made me do the, assessment stuff, whatever like that. Oh yeah, do the test, so we can know what you're going to be and all that stuff like that. And I ain't about being no fireman and all that stuff. That's not fireman. That's what you guys.
So true.
You know what I mean?
Because it's interesting how a lot of our people, like when I came from Exmouth, Jamaica.
Alright, family.
Peace, man.
Any issues?
Yeah, it should be alright.
We speak English on the island, but they put me in ESL.
Yeah.
And I never, it wasn't until I got older, I'm like, hold on a second, man. English is our first language. How the hell I come from Jamaica?
Yeah.
And you guys are gonna throw me in ESL like English is my second language.
Yeah.
Yo, that's now I'm trying to think. Yeah, they're suppressing people.
Yeah.
How am I in ESL? And I'm like, no, everybody else in ESL, nobody speaks English.
Yeah, nobody speaks English.
That's what I know, and I'm in ESL. Take English as a second language.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
The other question that we had was, at work, they're asking me for my social security card in order to change my name at work. I don't want a new social security card. How do I do this, or should I keep using my slave nomin instead of my free national name? Now, first of all, that's not our security, social security, anything. So there's no classifying it as ours. As soon as you say ours, now you're taking on the debt. Right? Whatever.
It's not ours.
80 billion or whatever. Yeah, property of whoever. It tells you whose stuff it is. Right? And if you are, if they're using a corporate document, if they're using a corporate document to qualify what your real name is, that you're using a nationality card to present to them, obviously these people are running some type of fraud.
Scam.
Because they shouldn't be using a social to qualify who you are, because the social security people will tell you don't give out the social to nobody. They'll tell you don't give it out. Well, what if so-and-so asks for it? Oh, don't give it to them. That's for your eyes only, that number. But, people give it out. And then the people who are getting it, they're not saying, oh, did you guys check with Social Security? Make sure you can give me this number or whatever like that. They willingly take that. How come they willingly take the number that is tied to, your unemployment insurance and all these, your pension, and why are they taking that number for? You know what I mean? Maybe to dip into your stuff.
I don't know if a lot of us have been through this experience. The one that I'm just going to quickly refer to. One of the things they did, and I'm referring to me, as I qualified, when I applied to come here, and as I qualified, and I met all the stipulations, as soon as you get to the airport, and they take your information, like within a week or so, as you get there, you're issued
your stuff.
social
Yeah,
insurance card.
yeah,
Just like the Syrians.
yeah, just like the Syrians. They got their stuff at the airport.
Yeah, that's where I got it. I got the airport, right?
Yeah.
But when they come in here and they classify them as, they're talking about them as being citizens already.
Yeah.
Bag them and tag them.
Yeah, bag them and tag them.
So I got, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, I got bag and tag when I got here to them.
Yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
it.
As soon as you come in.
That's the way you came in. That's the way you came in, so they have to seal those documents
Right.
that strip that you came in, the vessel was the airplane.
Yeah.
So if you came
Yeah.
in by boat, they would have gave it to you at the dock.
Right. And then after, and then all those documents that you had,
Yeah,
when you reach retirement, they require all those documents.
yeah,
They keep them. They
Yeah.
take record.
yeah,
And they keep them, and they require them even before they
yeah.
start.
That's so that anything that you have, you can't give to your family. They got it.
I even recall before you come over here, they gave me, when I was younger, they gave me a shot. They gave me
Yeah,
a certain
yeah.
shot
They
on
give you the
my-
shot. Yeah, everybody has the little mark. Yeah.
They're all branded, trust me.
Yeah, that was the brand. That was the stuff in the ear with the, you know what I mean, with the cows or whatever. Tag them.
So,
Until I
how do we deal? The question then becomes, if I'm speaking to someone, and that question arises, because I mean, in my ignorance.
Yeah, for everybody's ignorance. Yeah,
I mean, it was my,
Yeah.
in my, what,
In everybody's
even if I knew the information I have now, but in the first place, with the information I had now, I don't think I would have even been here.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
right. You wouldn't even
I
do
wouldn't
it.
So we take that time.
Exactly.
And I could say this much, that my objective coming here was very clear. It wasn't about staying here to work till I reach retirement,
Yeah,
and to go up and swing in a chair or something. That was not it. It was to get an education and then get the hell out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, they tangle you up.
You know, so
Try to move
50 years you've been here. You're like, what the hell happened?
What am I still doing here? You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is something that I think applies more forcefully with the men.
Yeah.
And from my own experience, what they use to entrap us is the family.
Yep. For sure. For
It's
sure.
the family.
100%.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, right now, as it is, if I didn't come here, I wouldn't know myself.
Yeah,
So like even like that, you know what I mean? We're very Norman.
Know
You
myself.
know what I mean? His perspective is
Yeah.
forget whatever I knew.
Yeah. Forget.
The point is now I know.
Yes.
Forget about how long I've been brainwashed and I didn't know stuff and now I know now.
I will say a different
And these
color
people are
different shade. I see that over there.
There's one distinction that I've realized. If English is not your first language and you speak another language and you have to learn English, your perception of things is very clear. You can see the bullshit. Pardon me, you can see the bullshit. Because what happened? No, because in the language I was taught as a child growing up, things were very clear. Right? And I understood how power was managed through the language.
Right.
And when I came down to the English-speaking country to learn English, then I realized how the English is used to manipulate and play with people.
Yeah.
so many words disguise things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
How one
so
word could mean 10 different
Yeah,
things.
so I constantly have to ask, but you said that meant this now, and now you tell me that
Tell me that
meant that.
meant- yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
And that's the thing with the denotation versus the connotation. So they want society to be connotative. They want society to say that, identity is black people, purple people, orange people, or not nationality. You know what I mean, right? Like that's where they want people to be.
That's what they want it to be, yeah.
Yeah, but because if we go back to like even when I was going to school in Tobago, them times it was known as a republic back then. You know what I mean? It was classified as a republic. Now they say democracy and all this other stuff that they. What do you mean? How are you going to say that it's a republic, then now you're saying it's democracy, and then you're relating the definition of democracy to republic when democracy is mob rule.
No, democracy is ruled by the devil.
Right. You know what I mean? Right? Demonology. Democracy.
Yeah.
Right? So once the people start, wanting to know for themselves, then certain things will clear up. As soon as they say, oh, well, no, we don't want to do Saturday school for our children, stuff like that, just send them, Monday to Friday, everything will be all right, because, a black president now and whatever, stuff like that. Children are going to be, children are going to be way gone, more than the parents are gone.
Yeah. Well, I must say this, that I am on my journey of rediscovery.
Yeah.
We are going right back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And then
come back. Right. Don't worry. Just get with Brother Norman. Don't worry. Just get with Brother Norman. Y'all be all right.
Yeah.
You'll be all right. Yeah, bro.
Just to finish addressing the question, ex-relation and the prophet saying, all new once we correct our name and all that stuff.
Just all old business stays the same.
Right.
And all new business doing the free national name. Right. So to have a job, learn about birthrights, and then go to the job and tell them change something or whatever is, going against, if you want to say, the laws laid down by the prophet, which means that your stuff is never going to work when you try doing those things.
Yeah, you mean to segue into
after the fact. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're supposed to do that from the inception. If you weren't able to, just like you're saying, all right, you guys got me on that one, you made me get a birth certificate, all right, cool, but don't think that you guys are going to tie me to that thing ever again now that I know differently. You know what I mean? We can play the game, you know what I mean? Just like with work, you know what I mean? Yeah, I got a job or whatever like that, you know what I mean? But don't think that you guys are going to call some CRA about, you owe taxes and all that type of stuff, you know what I mean? You need to, and I'm just going to, give you a check or whatever. You got some battle again.
What for me works is, what works for me, I can't speak for everyone.
Yeah.
What works for me during all this time is stepping out the roles.
Yeah.
I can step into the role.
Yep.
Work it to my,
Work it to how you gotta work it, and then step out.
What choice do we have?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we came in this late.
Right. Yeah. And then that's where the whole thing with, reserving your rights comes in, making sure anything you do with these people, you reserve your rights, making sure,
that's something.
If there's any controversy with anybody, you're addressing them as Kudra ex-relation, the name that those people have that they're trying to impose on you. Not just Kudra only, or not just all rights reserved, and use the straw name. You're making sure that you tie yourself to your nation, so that way they can't say that you didn't. And then you tie yourself to that name that they got with reservation of your rights, so that they can say that you're trying to get out of not being the name. Because once you say that you're not being the name, then they're going to claim jurisdiction over the name and do whatever it is that they want to do, which you don't want them to do, because you know that they're about, bothering, because birth certificate is a bothering instrument, which is giving them jurisdiction over the vessel or over the property on the ship. And they're saying, well, no, don't try to tie the property to me as that's who I am. I'm not the property. The property is its own entity. If you guys want to deal with it, sure, go ahead and deal with it. But don't try to put it on me like I'm the property.
What if you were born and a birth certificate was not issued at the time of birth?
If you still don't have one, then you're probably in good shape to fix this thing faster than other people who have birth certificates. You know?
It's a good thing, because there's been cases in the Children's Aid where one kid didn't have a birth certificate and they had to return that child because they have no
jurisdiction.
No jurisdiction.
Because they're creating jurisdictions with the
They're better
insurance.
off. Whoever doesn't have a birth certificate is better off than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if the birth certificate is issued or granted without that person's knowledge or permission?
Then that's fraudulent contract.
You have you seen that one yet? How to live within contracts? Right there, between the Circle 7? Yeah, you should probably grab that one. That's a that's a really good read.
So, you got any this?
Yeah, no, I just got it from there.
Oh.
That's a really good one that
Yeah.
breaks down contracts.
So once they go into it's like with people with trials.
Actually, it's a matter I'm addressing right now.
Yeah, it's people. It's like people with trials, right? They'll have a trial, right? And then they'll say, well, I'm not that name that you guys are coming up because I don't have a birth certificate, right? And then they'll go down the line. Okay, well, you got a license, you got a social, you got a health card, you got something. If you don't have that one, you gotta have something else out of the line of stuff that we issue. You know what I mean? That we can use to qualify that that's who you are, right? And then it goes backwards too. If you don't have a license, then they're gonna, you got social, you got whatever, you got birth certificate. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to tie us to the corporate construct that they created that's in all capital letters, which that's not who we are. That's why they always ask for ID. Because they're really trying to tie you to that all capital letters name. Right? They're really trying to get you to admit out of your own mouth that I am the name on that thing. But that's not really you, because you can't write your name in all capital letters and be a human being. It's impossible. As soon as you write your name in all capital letters, you're agreeing that you're a fiction. And if you're a fiction, then, you know, they could shoot you in the street. There's no arrest of anybody. There's no international community saying, hey, you guys just killed that guy. How do you do that? How can you do that? You know what I mean? Yeah, there's people morally making the argument. But, you know, moral doesn't stand in law. That's just opinion. You don't care. That's why we always use the example of the guy from India that somebody called the police and said, oh yeah, there's a black guy peeking into people's garages or whatever. And then police came, tried to identify him. He didn't, you know, state anything. So they tackled him to the ground, shattered his spine or whatever. Left him practically or partially paralyzed. Come to find out, it wasn't a black guy. He was from Hindustan, from India. So now you have all these so-called state representatives or whatever like that, you know, writing to India to apologize to them because, you know, this guy, you know, was mistaken identity as a black guy, you know what I mean? And, you know, and, you know, paid family out, all that stuff in months. Find me some black guy out here that got shot up 50 times, that got something, any type of recourse. Not only just recourse, but also remedy for the injury. Zero. Why? Because they don't got no nationality. They don't want to take it. They don't want to listen to Moors. All right, listen to that Indian guy that got tackled, got his spine shattered or whatever like that, and then all the U.S. state people were, you know, on hand and knee, making sure that this individual that got tackled by their so-called hired officer or whatever like that got everything that he deserved. Trip back home, all that stuff, surgery, whatever. And then you never hear anything about it in the news ever again. You know, it would sweep it under the rug quick fast. Because, you know, he was brown. He wasn't a black guy. You know what I mean? So if he's brown, and he's not a black guy, what's that mean? All these other people out here that are brown, that are calling themselves black. Oh, you're not really that. Stop calling these people that. But then if they do that, then, you know, system fall tomorrow because they need the property, they need the slave in order to keep this stuff going.
It's like these European sovereigns, they're exercising sovereignty rights, but you can't be just sovereign, you know what I mean? Without belonging to a nation.
To a nation.
Like these guys are walking around and exercising their rights to bear arms and all that. And
Yeah.
you got our people confused looking at them like,
How could they do that?
How are they doing that, you know?
Right.
They're leaving them.
And they're standing up on the fact that they have a nationality. Whether they're naturalized or came from somewhere else and came here, the point is that they're not classified as property in the context like we're classified.
Themselves to be classified.
Yeah, they're not gonna let that happen.
Even if they can't identify their nationality.
They're not gonna be property. They're not gonna let some highwayman tell them they can't walk around with their Glock or whatever like that, or their AR or whatever, or bazooka or whatever like that, because he says that he's police. Yeah, I have a constitutional right to bear arms. Well, you can't do that because, you know, alright, cool. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go over here, I'll go walk down here or whatever like that. Cool, but they're not shooting them up or nothing like that. No one of these brothers out here talking about, yeah, I got, you know what I mean? Right to bear arms or whatever. You know what I mean? They got the gun on them, get on the ground, put the gun over there, spread the spread or whatever like that. They'll go through the, you know, okay, fine. You know, now you can go back to whatever, but they're not letting them just walk away like Europeans. Just go check it online.
I was only think the brothers get away with that.
Open carry.
Look at that Tamir Rice child.
Yeah.
That's playing with the
toy gun.
Yo, they rolled up on his neck.
Toy gun.
Nothing.
Child.
A youth.
Doesn't that fall under the category of white privilege, basically?
Yes.
Well,
Because when he turns
I think
the
it falls
gun
under
and
assumption.
shoots someone else who doesn't look like him,
yeah,
then it's not him, it's somebody else.
right.
But I've also seen a video, YouTube video, where there's this white guy, bareback, comes out with a
Blade or
of
whatever,
some kind, and then there's like 4 cops standing up around
Yeah.
him. This is in Miami, Florida, with rifles, you know.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear what they said to him, but apparently he just said, alright, go screw you, whatever. And they shot him, boom,
Yeah.
like that, boom, they shot him.
Yeah, but I mean, remember too that there are poor whites who are classified as nigger.
Okay.
That's gonna get the same treatment
Yeah,
as niggers
But
get.
he would have fallen into that.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, there's white privilege, you know what I mean? But, you know, is the white privilege falling on somebody that has a nationality, or is it falling on a stateless individual? If white privilege is falling on somebody with a nationality, there's nothing wrong with white privilege, because with a nationality you have that. Anybody. Just like Chinese have Chinese privilege. That when they come over here, they can go to their own food spot. They don't gotta go to Loblaws or whatever like that to go shop. They can go to their own Chinese spot with the Chinese cashiers and all that stuff. They got their Toronto Dominion, CIBC, Scotiabank, Chinese bank. That the screen comes up in Chinese and all that stuff. They don't have to push English or nothing like that. Chinese coming up. That's Chinese privilege.
True. They even got their own temples.
They got their temple that they can go to. Nobody's not questioning them about, you know what I mean, whatever like that. It's what it is. Everybody has their privilege. You know what I mean? But you know, the question is, who's granting that privilege? And if the individual granting that privilege can take that privilege away, then you probably don't want it. Which is what we got. Other people, they don't get their stuff taken away. They can exercise their, white privilege or Chinese privilege or European privilege or whatever. But we can't, because most of the time, that thing that we're exercising was given to us by somebody who's a foreigner. And only because they're abusing it, now we want to talk, you can't do that or whatever. Oh, we take the stuff back. Now what you guys got? 40 acres and a mule, all that stuff. Took back the stuff.
And deport you too.
Because you guys want to play like, you don't want to recognize that, that we're your God. You got a picture of us on your wall and stuff like that. You don't want to recognize that the ones out here are your God. Then we're going to take your privilege. Oh, sorry, we didn't do that. And then they get their stuff back. Instead of, doing what they should be doing and being self-sufficient. You know what I mean? Everybody's complaining, the Caribbean grocery store is expensive and it's cheaper. Well, then keep having nothing. What are you gonna, you know what I mean? What are you gonna do? The guy with the Caribbean store, he has to deal with IMF and all these other people in order to get the stuff over here in the first place. Why it's $500 for a piece of cassava or whatever. It's not him why it's like that.
So it's because of us.
You know what I mean?
If we were supporting it,
it's not him.
he would be able to drop the price eventually.
Yeah. If everybody said, we're just going to go there and shop there, then that guy would be able to. But then again, you know what I mean? Like, is he really going to bring the price down when he realizes that, monopoly, you got monopoly on the grocery market now because, everybody's realizing that, hold on a second, you go to all these grocery stores or whatever, everything in there, GMO or whatever like that, you're not getting no real fruits, no real veggies, forget the meat and all that stuff that's already, you don't want that, right? We're talking about the fruits and vegetables now, that for years they've been spraying stuff, whatever, you know what I mean, on the stuff in the store. Nobody's not questioning, is that water coming out of that? Is that, you know what I mean, vegetable cleaning stuff, like what is that? And how come you guys aren't spraying the oranges and apples and all those stuff? You're only spraying this stuff. How come you guys not spraying nothing else? How come you only spraying the veggies?
Yeah, that's true.
No, they do mess around with all the other stuff.
Yeah, they mess with everything, but I mean, in the open,
The grocery store.
where people can see or whatever. You know what I mean? They don't have the stuff coming on. You go to grab stuff. Oh shit! Stuff spraying you ready or not ready and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
That's why they say that the different nations of the earth are turning on the U.S. Because like Russia, they just banned U.S. foods from coming into their
Yeah, they're GMO crops.
Yeah.
GMO crops.
Because they're realizing that these people are trying to kill everybody, regardless of whether you're European, down with them, ally with them, whatever. UDOTS doesn't care. They're trying to get everybody to fall victim to whatever it is their agenda is. You know what I mean? And their agenda right now is,
Population reduction.
reduce the population, right?
Dumb them down.
Dumb down the people, which is reducing the population, because if people don't have no mind, they don't count.
But they're doing it chemically.
Right?
Electronic.
On top of the food way, every other way that they're doing it. You know what I mean? So it's coming to that. It's already at the stage where people should be at least a little mindful of what's going on, what's happening to them. But if they're absent-minded of what's going on, don't worry about them. They'll be back to do this over again 50 years from now when everything's GMO and you can't even get nothing real.
But
We got about 5 minutes.
Huh?
We got about 5 minutes and then we'll close off.
I was going to point out, they're putting it out there in the open because really and truly, one of the questions that keep coming up when you travel between different places, you notice that there's a certain lack of vibrance and energy among all people,
right?
And it's not for lack of education, or if you want to use that, but what it appears to me to be, they've actually chemically infected our people. And I tell you how I'm so convinced it's deliberate. there's one thing that every single so-called citizen has to have in their diet, and that's water.
Yep.
You cook your food in water.
Yep.
75% of what you eat has water in it, right? If you want the vulnerability of destroying a nation, it's
Yeah.
through the food.
Right.
If you must
Poison the water.
drink water, poison the water,
Yeah.
right? Now, where it really struck me a few years back, as I was going up in Lawrence, I don't know if you know, there's a water reservoir. Just as you pass Kiel, there's Kiel, and there's that bridge where they have that painting under there, and then you get
Oh,
to
the things that they just built? That they just built?
there's like a football field there.
Yeah, okay, I think I know what
I don't know if you know,
you're
there's two buildings there.
Yeah.
Being somebody who's in that field for the public, so